Chapter 1142. On the fourth day of the underground cemetery's emergence, the war within the Leviathan Empire's territory also came to an end. The result was beyond everyone's expectations. In the prolonged battle that lasted for a day and night, the titled machines of the Leviathan Empire were defeated. Even the army of developing mechanical cannons were sent into battle, blowing up half of the central water vein. Over 100,000 soldiers were mobilized to face the sea dragon beast, the guardian of the underground cemetery, which outnumbers the magic armor of the first powerful country on the continent. However, they suffered a crushing defeat. This battle made Ludwig XII's eyes turn red. 5 specifically tailored machines known as titled machines were made for the Empire's hero-ranked warriors. They faced off against the Emerald Sea Dragon beast that resides in the central water vein. The remaining magic-armored legion fought against the unmanned weapons deployed by the Emerald Sea Dragon beast. The battle lasted for a day and a night, and ultimately the Emerald Sea Dragon beast emerged victorious. The Imperial main army suffered casualties of more than 10,000, marking the highest death toll since the Leviathan Empire entered the scientific development era. 2 of the titled machines, the Mammoth Elephant and the Saber-toothed Tiger, representing the land assault type, were destroyed. More than half of the Empire's 9 major titled machines were destroyed by now. 3 out of the 1st Magic Army Legion's Special Joint, Whale Shark, Reconnaissance, Yellow Finch, Land Assault Main Force, Mammoth Elephant, and Saber-toothed Tiger, were wiped out from the Empire's war sequence. The remaining 3, Royal Knight, Sword Fighter, and Dark Knight, were mostly injured. From the Divine Era, a weapon from the underground cemetery during the Dragon Tribe War gave a lesson to the proud Leviathan Empire, the strongest military nation on the continent, which suffered a major defeat. The Emerald Sea Dragon beast once again dived into the central water vein, collecting hundreds, if not thousands, of destroyed unmanned weapon fragments. It seemed that they would be repaired and returned to the battlefield. The troops of the Leviathan Empire who died in battle will never be able to come back. This was a completely unequal war, with a gap between the 2 sides similar to the Empire's magic-armored legion dominating the tribal alliance with primitive weapons. Overnight, Ludwig XII's hair turned half white. He couldn't understand how such powerful war weapons could exist in this era. How did these destructive giant weapons operate during the period of declining magic? Ever since his Nisine triggered that nuclear explosion forbidden spell, the common knowledge of the whole world seemed to have gone astray. Can't the Leviathan Empire construct giant weapons over 100 meters? No, they can, but the problem is what power and core can be used to drive such massive war weapons. Human thinking capacity cannot possibly synchronize with the scale of these magic armors. This is not right at all. No living human could ever control such a powerful weapon. Why, what is the matter with that Emerald Sea Dragon beast? Ludwig cried in frustration, tugging at his beard. The reason is probably simple. The one controlling that weapon is not a living human, it's a technology unknown to us, said the person who could save Ludwig XII from his worries finally. The sage Poinkar of the Empire and the first alchemist, Asmid, entered Ludwig XII's study without being invited. What should we do next? The morale of our main army is crumbling. Ludwig XII felt powerless for the first time. As one of the greatest emperors in the history of the Empire, second only to the first knight of the founding continent, he had never encountered such a predicament before. I don't care if there are living or dead people inside that weapon, I will destroy it. Ludwig XII clenched his teeth angrily, realizing that in this war, he and the Empire had no way out. If the enemy controlled the central water vein, it would mean they had a grip on the lifeblood of the economy. In just 4 days, the price of food in the entire Leviathan Empire had doubled. It was clear that if the enemy took control of the central water vein, even doing nothing would cause the entire empire's economy to collapse. So this battle is a fight that must be fought, whether you want to or not, and we must win. If we lose, the glory of the Leviathan Empire will become permanent history, and the territories newly conquered by the magic armored legion may all be lost. They will be nailed to the pillar of shame in the history of the Leviathan Empire. Don't despair, we have a way to win. No matter when, you will never see any despair or gloomy expression on Poincar's face, even if the opponent is the ancient weapon of the divine era, the underground cemetery. Sia's world follows a certain law of the world. Even the seemingly unreasonable Emerald Sea Dragon beast doesn't gain its power for no reason. At the cost of 2 destroyed titled machines and over 10,000 casualties, Poincar finally calculated the biggest flaw of the Emerald Sea Dragon beast. That flaw is its power. Yes, even the seemingly unscientific Emerald Sea Dragon beast needs power. Its over 100-meter body doesn't possess the strength to confront the entire Leviathan Empire's magic armored legion and 5 titled machines for no reason. Just like the Black Iron Giant is an Earth child, the Emerald Sea Dragon beast is a natural ruler of the oceans, able to draw power from the surrounding water element to fight at any time and anywhere. Therefore, even though the enemy has gained overwhelming strategic advantages, they didn't pursue the retreating Imperial magic armor troops, but only sent out numerous unmanned weapons to drive away these defeated soldiers. During the period of magic tide decline, why were only the guardians of the first and second levels of the underground cemetery sent out for world conquest first? It is because of the special nature of their bodies. The big strong iron giant gets power from the earth whenever it walks on the ground. The creature called Emerald Sea Dragon Beast has the same power in the water and ocean. During this time when magic is getting weaker, it affects them, but it's only causing more damage in battles within a limit they can handle. As long as they don't come across something like the Faceless God, which is even older and more mysterious than them, both the Black Iron Giant and the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast are almost unbeatable. So, Your Majesty, are you really willing to pay this price to win? Poincar placed his plan in front of Ludwig XII and waited for his answer. If this plan succeeds, it can indeed deliver a fatal blow to the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, or at least drive away this ancient weapon. But in return, the Leviathan Empire will also suffer a very heavy price, which in some ways may be even more difficult to accept than the thousands of casualties. This, you want me to ask that boy's daughter for help? Ludwig roared, expressing his angry unwillingness. Chapter 1143 How Unbearable! How unbearable! How unbearable! Ludwig XII was pacing back and forth in his study like a crazed ant, his hair turning white at a visible speed. The emperor of the grandest nation in the continent, reduced to seeking help from his niece, Queen Sia. The Leviathan Empire, a group of rebellious individuals who split from the Sia kingdom. Ludwig I, the founding emperor and the greatest knight in the continent, had sworn never to bow to the Sia royal family in his lifetime. In his generation, they were one step away from annihilating the Sia royal family. Their armies were right at the gates of the Sia capital, and they had even arranged the time for the surrendering insiders to open the city gates. He held a personal grudge against the former king of the Sia kingdom, but he didn't actually dislike Queen Sia herself. When Ein came to study at the Royal Academy in the capital of the Leviathan Empire, he visited her several times and could faintly see traces of his first love in her face. The reason why the Leviathan Empire wants to invade the Sia kingdom has nothing to do with any personal grudge between their emperor and the Sia king. Even though that darn guy married the girl he loved the most in the world, he only secretly roared in anger a few times. Damn Siscon. As for himself, he was actually a very gentlemanly person. The one who decided to invade the Leviathan Empire was actually his teacher, who was currently the imperial sage Poincar. The part of the ancestral emperor's diary that contained information about the Divine Era Tower sparked an unprecedented interest in the imperial sage. Only by obtaining those gemstones can the empire build the strongest magic armor and even create Poincar's ideal and most powerful titled machine. That would be a power comparable to a legend. The current Black Overlord is only an experimental model of that perfect titled machine, still far from the power of legends. It must be said that Ludwig XII was tempted because Imperial Sage Poincar's calculations have never been wrong, and the distance between his field and ordinary people is like that of a monkey and a wise man. Poincar's calculations helped the Leviathan Empire to embark on the path of science. The Imperial Sage never made mistakes, and some even confidently claimed that his eyes could see the future. If Poincar had not been born in this era of declining magic, he would surely have been one of the most powerful red-robed mages dominating the continent. His achievements in the study of magic armor far surpassed the peak reached in the Divine Era. Even in the case of the failed nuclear explosion experiment, he was confident that he could replicate it as long as he had enough materials. Therefore, Poincar has always maintained that it is impossible for Queen Sia to use a nuclear explosion forbidden spell. Even if someone can truly use a nuclear explosion forbidden spell, it definitely wouldn't be Queen Sia. The power of a nuclear explosion is not something modern humans can control. He repeatedly used calculations to tell Ludwig XII that the so-called nuclear explosion forbidden spell is simply an invalid topic. Even the group of red-robed mages who stood at the pinnacle of the continent during the Divine Era had no knowledge of the nuclear explosion forbidden spell. Nuclear explosion is a dangerous experiment that is not fully developed. It killed many unfortunate people wearing red robes, which was considered forbidden. There is no such thing as a nuclear explosion forbidden spell. It was the result of the red robes going too far in their actions. Are there really no other options besides this method? Asked Ludwig XII, a talented and strategic ruler, unable to bring himself to ask his niece, Queen Sia, for help. Not to mention, he had almost conquered Sia Kingdom not long ago, indirectly causing the death of the former king of Sia, who was once his close friend, and the queen, his first love. This is the best method, said Poincar. He never questioned the process, only cared about seeing the results of his calculations. Invading Sia Kingdom was a necessary step for the Leviathan Empire, just like the steps needed to solve an equation. Mathematicians don't need to consider politics or emotions. They only focus on right and wrong, and whether something is true. In the world of mathematics, there is only the purest truth. All the advice he gave Ludwig XII was based on this truth. I understand, sighed Ludwig XII. It won't change. His teacher and Imperial Sage Poincar's calculations are always accurate and not compassionate. Apart from the incident with the nuclear explosion forbidden spell, including the attack intentions, tactical directions of the ancient weapons in the underground cemetery, Poincar figured it all out clearly. Even the method to defeat the ancient weapons was so simple and easy to understand. Cut off the enemy's source of power, then overpower them with equal force. It's as direct, simple, and perfect as 1 + 1 = 2 in the world of mathematics. However, the process to achieve this result required countless lives to be sacrificed, making the entire empire run like a huge machine. This machine called a science is the most powerful weapon created by the alchemist warlocks led by Poincar and Asmid for the Leviathan Empire. It's also the foundation that allowed the Leviathan Empire to become the strongest country on the continent. At this point, there is simply no way to stop. Even as the emperor of the empire, he has long been tied to this war vehicle called science, driven by the will of the entire empire, and can only keep moving forward. Science allows for failures, but it absolutely doesn't allow for retreat. The noble folks who long for victory, the people who have absolute confidence in the empire, and the scholars and alchemist warlocks who put everything on the path of science, all of them together, have made the Leviathan Empire what it is today. If the empire loses this will and spirit, it will collapse and be defeated completely. When Ludwig XII drew back the curtains of his study, he saw the magic army legions inside the royal city, undergoing rest and replenishing their new equipment. Many of their members were severely injured in the battle against the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and some even lost their limbs. They were now getting temporary mechanical limbs created by the alchemist warlocks who were working tirelessly. Many clenched their teeth in anger, some drank heavily, and quite a few cursed aloud. But no one shed tears. They still believed in their emperor and imperial sage Poinkar, knowing they would bring them victory. The empire's morale remained high, and the spirit of determination stayed strong. Even though this was the largest defeat the Leviathan Empire had ever suffered since entering the era of science, these Knights of Steel remained the Empire's knights. Leviathan Empire has not yet lost. Chapter 1146 Yunshi had a dream. He had a strange dream, somewhat tinged with a faint feeling of sadness. In his dream, he lay in the middle of the earth, gazing at the endless expanse of the Milky Way, as if he had been waiting for something for a long, long time. Many, many things had happened in the place where he was. War. Disaster. Death. Newborn. Many, many races have walked through their own lives on him, and then returned to dust and earth. Even majestic dragons cannot resist the passing of time, eventually turning into dust and returning to the earth. Then, a tall tower was built. Dragons and 12 humans built this tall tower. They were the earliest human bloodline in this world, and the most proud and outstanding dragons. With unity, they researched various methods, seemingly wanting to prove the existence of eternity in the world, and build a building similar to a landmark for this world. The purpose of this building is to hatch dragon eggs that have lost their mothers. For the dragon clan, nothing is more important than offspring. In order to hatch the dragon eggs, they can use the power of their entire clan and order the help of all the races in the world to achieve this goal. Most of the time, these efforts ended in failure, and most of the dragon eggs that lost their mothers failed to hatch. There were only 1 or 2 successful examples, but even so, they brought great joy to the dragons and considered this tower, built by golden humans, as a sacred place. They praised this tower and sincerely hoped that it would be a proof of friendship between humans and dragons. The people of that era were very good friends with the dragons. However, as time passed, the golden humans, known as the Child of God, also started to die one by one. For thousands of years, humans began to spread across the entire continent, becoming the largest intelligent population on the continent. With the appearance of a certain human, the history of humans began to undergo significant changes. More imaginative ideas based on magic, astonishing enlightenment of wisdom. Perhaps that humans simply wanted their own population to become better, and a few of the golden ancient people who considered him their own child were pleased to see this change. However, after humans awakened their civilization and wisdom, they were no longer satisfied with being subservient to the dragons and eventually started a war. Many, many humans died. The dragons angrily destroyed all the humans who dared to rebel against them. The last golden ancient people chose to join the battle and fight against the dragons, who were once their friends. In the end, the possibly most outstanding human in history swept through everything with an army of immortals, defeating the mighty dragons. However, he was not happy at all because it was not what he had expected. When he finally sat on the highest throne representing the continent's ruler, adorned in dark armor, he felt only overwhelming sadness. Beside the icy throne stood 4 enormous war machines. Each of these machines possessed a power that surpassed the apex race of this world's pyramid, and their combined strength left even the dragons in awe. The king was born on a battlefield of blood and fire, stepping on countless bodies, most of which were humans, with a small fraction being Leviathan's kin. Death accompanied him, granting him everything while also taking everything away from him. The Dark King of Undead finally vanished in the underground cemetery, where his friends, benefactors, and loved ones were. Ah, so that's how it is. This is the mark he left in this world, even if everything has been erased from history books. But this world won't forget, and this land won't forget. His throne has always loomed over this land, awaiting the return of the King of Undead. That is the spot the River of Destiny has prepared for this monarch. However, the King of Undead, who entered the underground cemetery while holding the body of his beloved, left a sorrowful and mournful silhouette. He never wanted to become a king. It was only a desire for more happiness. Where did it all go wrong? Such a sad story. Yunshi opened his eyes, realizing that this was not an unfounded daydream, but the unconscious depiction of the life of the owner of the underground cemetery, as narrated by Ayn, Adley, and the past princess. The strongest hero of mankind. The champion who ended the war between mankind and dragons in the divine era. The holder of the continental crown. With many honors to his name, the King of Undead truly lives up to his title. He possesses the power over life and death, and is the creator of various forbidden spells and magic in the divine era. Even the origin of the forbidden curse, nuclear explosion, is closely linked to the King of Undead. Without him, mankind would have been defeated in the war against dragons long ago, and could even face extinction. It's only natural for Dad to become the champion of the land. According to the alliance between mankind and dragons, the land originally belonged to Dad. If it weren't for Dad's deterrence against dragons, mankind wouldn't have enjoyed the good days of the divine era. Dragons are creatures that hold grudges. Princess Past sat on Yunshi's neck, excitedly boasting about the King of Undead's great achievements. Yunshi thought that what she said made sense. If it weren't for the existence of the King of Undead, the proud dragon clan would not have truly accepted their defeat after the war. It is not surprising when they come back again. Humans have betrayed the alliance they signed so many times. Human history is a history of betrayal and war. Even during the relatively peaceful divine era, wizards would fight each other for resources, and there have been instances where forbidden curses were used on the battlefield. As the strongest golden bloodline, the King of Undead possesses possibly the greatest power in this world, naturally earning them the highest throne. The greater the power, the greater the responsibility. People always expect heroes to come and save them. However, in reality, the greater the power, the greater the authority. Heroes also tend to have privileges. If it weren't for Yunshi's main task to collect 12 constellation gods' weapons, he would actually have a great admiration for the King of Undead. It can now be almost certain that the King of Undead possesses most of the lost 12 constellation gods' weapons. This is definitely the final boss that Yunshi must defeat. Based on the information revealed by the past princess, the King of Undead themselves is a descendant of the Golden Bloodline from a previous generation, and was adopted by the true Golden Ancient People as their golden son. The Golden Ancient People who passed away on the battlefield were his benefactors, friends, and lovers. The constellation gods' weapons they left behind, apart from being relics of those who had already passed away, mostly ended up in the underground cemetery, so they completely disappeared in the later records of the divine era. This is truly an admirable opponent. Understanding who his opponent was, Yunshi sighed and stretched lazily, embracing the past princess who had been holding him by the neck from behind. What are you scoundrel, trying to do? Let go of me, you bastard. You damn silver dragon. The past princess who was suddenly attacked from behind by Yunshi shouted, with a face that said, "No matter how you torture and ravage me, I will never surrender to you. You may have my body, but you will never have my heart." Well, it seems that during the time Yunshi was sleeping, a certain little princess's education from the original 3 Divine Era books proved to be very effective. How many days have I been sleeping? Yunshi stretched out his arms and legs, looking at the blushing past princess who was running away, feeling that she seemed to have awakened some strange quirks. 3 days, Lord Silver Dragon, said Ayn, relieved as she watched Yunshi wake up next to Sue. She was very busy during these 3 days. After Yunshi easily defeated the Black Iron Giant, he immediately fell asleep, leaving all the troublesome aftermath for Ayn to handle on her own. During these 3 days, she was exhausted by news from the major powers on the continent, the compensation for the losses caused by the giants' attack within the kingdom, and the troublesome demands from the neighboring country. Being a queen of a country, especially a wise one, meant having to deal with too many matters. Only by returning to the interior of the Divine Era Tower, where the faceless god resides, the safest place in this world, and also the prison where past princess is held captive, can she finally find peace. In these past days, the kind-hearted past princess has become best friends with Adley, and they share everything with each other, even knowing Lord Silver Dragon's identity. Probably, it seems that Adley, this lady from her own ancestors, is already a prize of Lord Silver Dragon, and will never be apart from Lord Silver Dragon for her whole life, regardless of her identity. At the same time, Aang was very surprised to learn various information about the underground cemetery. In fact, that place was the most powerful force of humans. If it weren't for the decline of the Magic Tide period, the underground cemetery could send out an undead army of over 10 million at any time, easily sweeping across the entire continent. In the Divine Era, the war between humans and the dragon race, the army of immortals created from countless human heroes and Leviathan monster corpses defeated the giant dragons who represented world dominance. Even in modern times, no country could withstand the undead army that once swept everything. The ruler of the underground cemetery was always the true king of the continent, the legitimate holder of the continental crown. It's no wonder that humans eventually quietly erased his existence from history. The fact that the true owner of the continental crown was the king of undead made the rulers of the later Divine Era clearly fearful. The thousands of years that the underground cemetery remained closed were just too long, and humans had long forgotten the power of the undead army. Maybe in the first few hundred years, they were still afraid of the king of undead coming out of the underground cemetery. But as time passed, there was no sign of it, and the human rulers naturally refused to settle for being mere proxies, completing a bottom-up usurpation. Until this era, the ancient underground cemetery suddenly reopened and raised the towering tower, declaring its return to the entire Sia's world. For the countries on the continent now, this is truly the worst possible news. Luckily, with Lord Silver Dragon around, Aang smiled as she watched Yunxi stretching lazily. No matter what kind of enemy, as long as Lord Silver Dragon is there, everything will be fine. Because Lord Silver Dragon is a guest from the stars, after all. How is the battle going? Although Yunxi has defeated the Black Iron Giant, he doesn't dare underestimate the King of Undead. According to Past Princess's announcement, there are 4 full-scale war weapons in the underground cemetery, not to mention the undead army that sleeps there. If that army of over 10 million undead pours out with hero-ranked death knights and bone dragons mixed in, even Yunxi, who commands the faceless god, would be overwhelmed and die from being surrounded. It's no joke. The King of Undead truly has the power to dominate the entire continent. The Leviathan Empire is still fighting against the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and they have deployed their entire magic armored legion to barely hold the battlefront. Furthermore, a massive change in terrain is happening in the central region of the mountain range where the underground cemetery is located. A lot of amazing buildings are being built. Aang reported to Yunxi the progress of the war that everyone on the continent is now paying attention to. The Leviathan Empire, which was humiliated by the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, seems to be in a state of national mobilization. They no longer approach the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, which caused them great losses in the last attack. Instead, they relentlessly bombard the waterways occupied by the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast with mechanical artillery. At the same time, an urgent request was sent to Ain's desk 24 times a day, non-stop bombardment. The message is extremely simple: the Empire is willing to do anything to obtain assistance from the strongest ancient weapon of the Sia Kingdom, to fight against the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast that continues to invade the Empire's waterways. Any request can be made, even granting Queen Sia the first inheritance of the Leviathan Empire. These conditions can truly be described as disgraceful for the nation. Agree. Yunxi nodded as he looked at Ain with hopeful eyes. Yes, he wants to go into battle. It is inevitable to battle the underground cemetery's owner in order to complete the task of collecting the 12 constellation gods' weapons. It doesn't make sense, there is no world peace at all, but that's the truth. The king of undead, who is extremely proud and disregards human power, doesn't care about human deaths. From the story of past princess, we can know that he cares a lot about his friends, benefactors, and lovers, but he doesn't care about the deaths of ordinary people. He is the strongest hero of humans, but definitely not a perfect hero. Instead, he is a complete anti-hero who completely follows his own will. His fighting style is to drown all opponents with an endless undead army, a battle style that even makes the dragon clan shudder. To have a conversation with such a king, you must show your own strength, even defeat him, in order to obtain what you want. What Yunxi chose is the most difficult path. Chapter 1147. On the 7th day of the underground cemetery's birth, the Leviathan Empire's central water vein battlefield. Fire. Coordinates locked. Give them a strong beating. Accompanied by hysterical roars, screams, the Empire's latest mechanical heavy artillery emitted the distinctive roar of a steel beast. Streaks of fire darted through the sky, launching a new round of blanket bombing towards the central water vein several kilometers away. The Empire artillerymen responsible for operating the heavy artillery, even with earplugs, their eardrums were on the verge of being shattered by the tremendous firing sound of the artillery. Many people had bloodshot ears, and some could no longer hear any sound. One after another, small mushroom clouds bloomed around the Empire's central water vein, turning the originally calm and peaceful river into a flurry of flying water droplets. Blow those bastards to pieces. Damn it. Let them taste the firepower of our empire. For 3 consecutive days and nights of constant bombing, many people have not been able to sleep, all for the glory of the empire and their own beliefs. The barrels of the latest Type 250 cannons of the empire have been rendered useless by hundreds in the past few days. Over 10 new artillery camps are scattered within a 10-kilometer radius of the central water vein in the war zone. They relentlessly bombard the central water vein, known as the Empire's Mother River, day and night, at any cost, in order to suppress the activities of those terrifying unmanned weapons. Everyone knows that if those hundreds or even thousands of unmanned weapons were to burst out from the central water vein, the Empire would be completely doomed. Throughout the 7 days of the war, everyone has felt a chill down their spine from those eerie unmanned weapons. It is an unmanned weapon with a lower body resembling an icy blue snake and an upper body consisting of a triangular torso and a pair of diamond-shaped mechanical arms. The icy blue snake body allows it to freely move in water and on land, while the diamond-shaped arms can either pierce through enemies in close combat or shoot out water projectiles. Don't be deceived by these seemingly harmless transparent water projectiles, as they have turned countless Empire soldiers into sieves. Unlike the Black Iron Giant, which is specifically designed to battle dragons, War Dancer's Emerald Sea Dragon Beast has the ability to create its own army. These weapons, called Sea Serpents, were the ones that disrupted the entire supply line of the Leviathan faction, causing a severe shortage of support for the Leviathan Empire. No living creature with intelligence would enjoy fighting against these lifeless weapons known as Sea Serpents. Losing meant facing certain death. Winning would only result in some unusable metal scraps with no real benefits. Fighting against the Sea Serpents offered no glory or fervor, only the coldest of life and death struggles. This was a reflection of the battle between the dragon race and the King of Undead's undead army. The Leviathan faction, overwhelmed by countless undead through sheer numbers, suffered deaths that were impossible to count. As mass-produced unmanned weapons, even if the Sea Serpents were blasted into pieces by the heavy artillery of the Leviathan Empire, as long as the metal fragments that formed their bodies were recovered, they could be reassembled and back on the battlefield in just a few hours. They have no concept of intelligence and faithfully adhere to the war rules set by their core. They are undead soldiers controlled by the war dancer. Even if the Empire had blasted these sea serpents into pieces dozens of times with heavy artillery, as long as the core metal fragments were recovered and recharged with water elemental energy absorbed from the water veins, the new sea serpents could immediately return to battle. Can't be killed, and even if killed, there's nothing to take as war loot. This is the greatest helplessness of humans facing the undead army. Besides defeating the ruler of the undead army, the highest commander of the underground cemetery, who is in charge of commanding the undead troops, it's just wishful thinking to try and win against the undead army. In this war, it is necessary to win against the guardian of the second level of the underground cemetery, the war dancer who dominates the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and never leaves the central water vein, thus maintaining an absolute home advantage. Unlike the Black Iron Giant who only knows and needs to charge towards the strongest and most prominent enemy, the war dancer never rushes in easily. Instead, she excels in gradually wearing down the opponent in a battle of endurance. Using her own advantageous strengths to reduce the enemy's fighting power, constantly making them bleed, this flexible and adaptive tactic is the war dancer's specialty. She is very patient. Despite the imposing presence of Leviathan Empire's new mechanized heavy artillery, as if it could pin down the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast and keep its head down in the central water vein, the balance of the battle has already started to shift completely. The shells fired by those mechanized heavy artillery are not falling from the sky. Every shell and every scrapped barrel represents the Empire's valuable strategic resources. On the other hand, the shattered sea serpents only need to have their metal fragments collected in the central water vein for a short time, and they will immediately return to the battlefield, lively and energetic once again. When it comes to resource utilization, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast of the War Dancer leaves the Leviathan Empire far behind. This was happening during a time when magic was not as strong as before. If it was during the Divine Era, when magic was plentiful, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast could revive and transform into a sea serpent in just 10 minutes, and at the same time release more than 10 times the number of sea serpents as it can now. One characteristic of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast is that it can fight alone. If it were to battle the Sea Serpent Legion during its prime, the Empire would be wiped out in just one day. It was because of the decline in magical power during this time that the War Dancer had no choice but to be more restrained. They used this strategy of attrition to weaken the Leviathan Empire's army and waited for an opportunity when their ammunition would run out. The so-called scientific weapons of war have their limits. The Empire's 10 new mechanical artillery legions may seem capable of causing massive destruction, but if they were to battle other countries, they would have already destroyed all resistance. However, against the ancient weapon, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, the level of threat posed by these weapons is insignificant. The ancient war weapons created by the King of Undead are perfect weapons surpassing the Empire's titled machines. They are essentially creations supported by alien technology. In terms of resource usage, energy control, internal structure, and the existence of a soul core, they surpass not just one era of Sia's world. On the 8th day, it started to rain, signaling the beginning of intermittent firing after several days of continuous artillery attacks. It's raining. Are we starting to save ammunition now? In the depths of the water in the central crystal fortress of the central water vein, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast lifted its massive head and revealed a sneer. So, the counterattack is about to begin. Chapter 1148 It's raining. Sparse water lines fell from the slightly dim sky, nourishing the earth. This was a natural weather phenomenon, and it wasn't even a heavy rain. It gave people a refreshing and pleasant feeling. However, for the Empire's modern mechanized artillery corps, who had been bombarding the central water vein for several days and nights, this was the worst news imaginable. Why is it raining now? Is the Imperial Weather Department eating poop? It's over, everything is over. Those monsters will definitely not let this opportunity go. In all of the artillery bases, most people had despairing expressions. The Empire's new weapon, the 250 cannon, made by the team of Imperial Sage Poincar's technology and Chief Alchemy Warlock Asmid, can still be fired even in the rain, but the failure rate will greatly increase. The prepared artillery barrels were already stretched thin, and the stock of ammunition was also running low. Now, such an untimely rain has arrived. This is simply the end of the Empire. Losing the heavy artillery's absolute dominance, once those unmanned weapons break through the defense line from the central water vein, what awaits the Empire is a massacre. The recent battles have proven that those small unmanned weapons, which appear to be only about 1 meter tall, only need 3 to form a small team to have the firepower to destroy the Empire's new magic armor. As for the ordinary Imperial Legion, in the face of these undead soldiers, they are as fragile as matchsticks. Mortals are fundamentally unable to defeat this kind of magical weapon. Those water bombs may seem like a joke, but when they instantly turn a person into a beehive upon impact, no one can laugh. Just like how the Empire's advanced weapons were able to overwhelmingly dominate the other countries on the continent, until Queen Sia unleashed her earth-shattering nuclear explosion forbidden spell, the ancient weapons sent by the underground cemetery also crushed the Empire's proud legion. This made Leviathan realize for the first time how terrifying it is to be inferior in terms of war weapons. If it weren't for the Empire's new mechanized heavy cannons displaying even greater attack power than anticipated, effectively destroying a large number of enemy unmanned weapons, this war would have ended long ago. However, the 250 cannon, as an offensive firepower, is qualified, but its cumbersome size and the requirement to be fixed in a specific location to aim and fire destined it to only be used as a turret. A new magic armor charging forward could destroy the entire heavy cannon position in just 1 minute, not to mention the titled machines. Keep on firing, until all the barrels are completely unusable. Fire, fire, we will not retreat 1 step until we are out of ammunition and supplies. All magic armor, enter maximum alert status, the enemy's counterattack is coming. 10 heavy cannon legions, each equipped with the Empire's latest magic armor, the magic armor that should have been at the forefront of the charge, have now become precious protectors of the new mechanized heavy cannons. There is no way, even the magic armor protected by metal armor, once within the attack range of the mechanical cannon, there is a danger of being blasted into pieces. The mass-produced magic armor cannot effectively withstand the explosive impact of the full firepower of the artillery corps, and it can be expected that the mechanical cannon will become one of the powerful weapons that will change the battlefield of the continent in the future. Unfortunately, the Leviathan Empire is now facing opponents that are more unreasonable and simply unscientific than the mechanical cannon. Hundreds and thousands of sea serpents rushed out from the Empire's central water vein, having learned from past experiences, forming a dispersed line advancing towards the Empire's artillery camp. The constantly winding posture, resembling a snake, may look somewhat funny, but its speed is not slow at all, and the icy blue body that forms its lower half leaves a very obvious trail on the ground. Inside the stronghold of the central water vein, War Dancer looked at the hundreds of blue threads extending from the water veins, as well as the 10 giant red dots surrounding them, and smiled slightly. It's time to teach them a lesson. Let them see that long-range attacks are not the only thing they are capable of. The sea serpents who received War Dancer's command stood upright one by one, and then the icy blue structure of their lower bodies began to contract and coil up. 2 diamond-shaped arms are combined together, forming a weapon that looks like a diamond mirror. Absorbing the falling raindrops from the sky, it condenses the molecules of water, and then locks onto the Imperial artillery camp several kilometers away. Ice spear, fire. Rows of ice-blue spears, each about 1 meter long, cut through the sky in the rain and headed towards the Leviathan Empire's artillery camp. Ice spears with elegant patterns descended upon the current headquarters of the Empire's largest elite army, faster than sound, and then burst open. Thousands and thousands of dazzling ice crystals exploded simultaneously, countless ultra-deep frozen ice fragments rampaged through the vast Imperial artillery camp, visible tracks quickly intertwining into a dense giant net. It was a web of destruction formed by millions of intersecting blue lights. Tents, soldiers, artillery, everything, except for the knights who controlled the Empire's magic armor, seemed as fragile as thin paper before the sharp ice crystals, easily torn into pieces. This is the sea serpent's most powerful attack method. Although it requires a rich environment of water element power to use, once used, it completely changes the tide of battle. This level of attack and penetration power may be slightly inferior to the Empire's new 250 cannon in terms of explosion range, but it is in a completely different league when it comes to resource usage. The ammunition of the Empire's new mechanical cannons was made of solid gold and silver. Meanwhile, the ice spears of the sea serpents exploded with the freezing rain or in water. In terms of the scale of the war, the Leviathan Empire was still in the stage of using heavy cannons. However, the sea serpents had reached the level of self-propelled unmanned weapons. Just the piercing impact of 3 ice spears caused the constant booming sound of the Empire's cannons to become sporadic. This was the result of the Empire's new magic armor fighting desperately. In just 1 minute, the Sea Serpent Legion, benefiting from the rainy weather, almost annihilated the Leviathan Empire's most powerful new cannon army, completely crippling 10 legions. Close to 1,000 unmanned Sea Serpent weapons advanced towards the Empire's cannon camp, which was gradually losing its firepower. It seems luck is on our side. This empire has also reached its end. Let them know who the true master of the Continental Crown is, the supreme ruler. Listening to the gradually quieting world and enjoying the sound of the falling rain, War Dancer's eyes gradually became entranced. Boom! Boom! From afar, there seemed to be the sound of thunder, rhythmic and similar to the sound of footsteps. Chapter 1149. Am I late? Walking in the hazy drizzle and listening to the gradually sparse booming of heavy cannons, Yunshi sighed. Despite leaving Sia Kingdom as quickly as possible and rushing day and night to the central water vein battleground of Leviathan Empire, it still seemed like they were a bit too late. Perhaps, this is fate. Those unfamiliar legions of Leviathan Empire were destined to suffer this calamity. They were never a match for the Dance Princess anyway. The Dance Princess and I are both Daddy's princesses. The princess's posture is beautiful. The princess's hair is light and soft. The sound of the princess's footsteps is adorable. The princess's eyes are beautiful gems. The princess was surrounded by a dizzyingly sweet fragrance, which was the fruit of love. The departed princess sang a cheerful song, trying her best to hinder Yunshi. Indeed very strong. Yunshi had no trace of underestimating his opponent. His future opponents were at the creator level, and there were 4 of them, in full. In order to escape from the clutches of these 4 terrifying ex-girlfriends, he must continuously complete the trials of the stars and make himself stronger, even stronger. Hua, are you doing well now? Are you eating well? Without my bread, will you have trouble growing up? For some reason, the image of my childhood sweetheart appeared in my mind. Yunshi smiled gently. We must win. This is Yunshi's determination, a small goal he set for himself with the help of Starchild. Perhaps defeating just one enemy doesn't prove anything, but each victory adds up and brings him something. In the end, it will yield bountiful fruits. Unmanned weapons. As Yunshi crossed the final hill, a vast plain spread out before him. Several dozen ice-blue sea serpents appeared. Accompanied by distant thunder, the faceless god once again appeared on the battlefield with the underground cemetery. Hiss! Hiss! The silver giants that emerged from the hilly area were quickly spotted. The sea serpent weapons, which were numerous, immediately went into high alert. They curled up their bodies and launched a powerful ice spear attack at Yunshi. Thousands of ice crystal shards exploded on the body of the faceless god. However, the ice spears, which could shatter the Empire's latest model of mechanical artillery, had no effect this time. For the faceless god, who had an invincible body, the ice spears were no different from the small raindrops around. Yunshi even felt the comforting sound emitted by the Pafu system. Despite using the daily action mode throughout the journey, the Pafu system started to overheat after such a long time of continuous activity. This wave of explosive ice spears happened to cool down the slightly overheated Pafu system. Countdown, initiate. Yunshi didn't plan to engage in a prolonged battle. Just like when facing the Black Iron Giant, this fight had to be resolved within 5 minutes. He brought out his strongest stance and directly confronted the enemy. With the most powerful attacks, he aimed to break through their defense. This was the combat style that Yunshi chose, always moving forward, either winning or losing. It seemed like a silly choice, but it was actually the best way. Yunshi couldn't use the faceless god, a type of god's vessel, at his current stage. The enemy is over there. According to the information provided by the Leviathan Empire, the body of the faceless god slowly crouched down, placing both hands on the ground in a starting position. Begin the sprint. Underneath the central water vein of the Empire, the war dancer inside the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast looked at the image transmitted by the sea serpent with strange eyes. The silver-white giant, standing over 40 meters tall, was completely absent from the intelligence she had gathered after infiltrating the Leviathan Empire. None of the Leviathan Empire's 9 major titled machines could match up to this silver-white giant. To be honest, the war dancer didn't believe that the rough Leviathan Empire could produce a war weapon of this level. The energy core and transmission technology required to operate a war weapon over 40 meters tall are beyond the capabilities of the current Leviathan Empire. Ancient weapons. It's a leftover from the Divine Era. War Dancer carefully examined every detail of the silver giant, realizing it was a perfect creation that matched the golden lines of humanity. Whether it was the hands, feet, or the feathered cloak draped over it, there was a captivating beauty that even enemies couldn't help but appreciate. If only the blank face could be filled with details, it would even give a feeling of mesmerizing puppetry. What a beautiful weapon! Upon seeing this silver giant, War Dancer felt an uncommon urge to possess it for herself. Since she was young, she had always loved beautiful things. Beautiful gemstones, blooming flowers, a songstress with the world's most enchanting voice, an adorable little princess running around, anything that was beautiful and lovely, she couldn't resist. At this moment, the faceless god was undoubtedly the most beautiful weapon she had ever seen. Of course, she didn't think this silver giant was here for sightseeing. Her sea serpents didn't think so either. The enemy. Maybe since the underground cemetery world domination plan began, this world's strongest resistance force was sent out by humans. Yes, that's right. One-sided crushing battles are very boring and don't showcase true tactics and skills. Only when facing equal opponents does war become full of unknowns and fascinating. Witness the power bestowed upon me by the king. Watching the silver-white giant suddenly start running, War Dancer became excited. Such a battlefield, such beautiful enemies, are the stage she has always dreamed of. Unfortunately, the songstress is not by her side now. It would be amazing if she could play the enchanting sword dance melody. Originally advancing towards the Empire heavy artillery camp along the designated route, the nearest squad of the Sea Serpent Legion that was already engaged in battle with the Empire magic armor troops turned around and rushed back to the headquarters at full speed. Apart from the approximately 1,000 sea serpents outside, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast released a Sea Serpent Legion twice the size, which is the largest Sea Serpent Legion created by War Dancer since the war with the Leviathan Empire began. What a lovely day! My darlings, let's go into battle. War Dancer, who has great confidence in her Sea Serpent Legion, stays in her fortress, waiting for the attack of the silver giants. This is her absolute home ground. She won't leave her home ground to fight, unlike the wild black iron giant. Chapter 1150. Over 300 Sea Serpent Legions gather in front of the central water vein. With the abundant water element in the rainy weather and the support of the central water vein, their power is almost unlimited. More exploding ice spears are launched in a 3-stage firing pattern, creating a rain of ice spears in the sky, targeting the silver giants that have started running. Oh, 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 oh. Yunshi can feel the hundreds and thousands of exploding ice spear fragments on the body of the faceless god. Although each individual ice spear has no effect on the divine vessel and can't even break through its defense, the collective impact still produces some effect. Pafu, who controlled the body of the faceless god, indicated that the cooling system was very powerful. The originally expected 5-minute time limit seemed to be able to extend for about 1/3 of the time. Maybe it's like the feeling of extending for just 1 second with each burst of the ice spear. For the faceless god, who sprinted at full speed, a distance of several kilometers was just a matter of a few breaths and heartbeats. The Sea Serpent Legion under the command of the War Dancer indeed demonstrated great tactical skills, and the exploding ice spears could even anticipate Yunshi's forward path in advance. Of course, this also had something to do with Yunshi choosing the shortest distance, a completely straight line. Faster, even faster, don't give the other side a chance to catch their breath. If we stop, then we lose. Withstanding numerous exploding ice spears, Yunshi charged to a position just a few hundred meters away from the central water vein, then stomped his feet on the ground and leaped high into the air. With this leap, reaching a height of thousands of meters seemed impossible for the enormous silver giant, which had a colossal body of 40 meters. What? The War Dancer was shocked to see the silver figure, known as the Faceless God, jump into the sky at such a high altitude. Solid body, justice descends. Yunshi lifted his right foot high and rotated almost 360 degrees in the sky, then fiercely struck the central water vein, which had a distinctive color compared to its surroundings, with the force of thunder. From this angle, the emerald sea dragon beast with its streamlined body could be clearly seen. In the hazy rain, the verdant giant beast lay submerged in the water, surrounded by a large number of crystal defense structures. According to the normal order, the Sea Serpent Legion's defense lines should be broken one by one from the periphery, breaking through all of their defense structures, and then engaging in the final battle with the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. Yunshi, regardless of all that, as long as we know where the opponent is, we should just use the simplest and most direct, and most violent means to fight back. Direct hit to the vital point. One strike, fatal. Don't be afraid, just go straight ahead. The body of the faceless god unleashed Yunshi's explosive power to the extreme, creating a devastating move in the sky that was more than 10 times faster than the speed of sound. A massive silver-white flash fell from the sky, directly cutting off the Empire's central water vein and disregarding all the defensive structures built by War Dancer. Thousands of tons of river water evaporated under this attack from above, revealing the elegant and slender body of the hidden Emerald Sea Dragon Beast beneath the water. War Dancer never imagined that someone could play like this. Her army tactics, the precise control of her movements like an art form, and the many ambushes she set up along the enemy's path, all became meaningless because of the enemy's leap. Yunshi didn't want to waste even a second and went straight into the battle like a king. This made all the measures that War Dancer had prepared for the unfamiliar silver-white giant a joke, even though she was confident in these hidden traps. Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, counterattack. Faced with such a reckless and unreasonable opponent for the first time, War Dancer had no choice but to fight back. Layers of icy blue light spread out, and the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast moved. With its seemingly massive body and unbelievable speed, agility, especially in an environment full of water element. This huge sea dragon beast clad in steel armor is almost invincible. The underground cemetery's strongest water warfare weapon lives up to its reputation. Just the spreading water curtain heavenly splendor, similar to the dragon roar wave, can completely expose the movements of all nearby enemies. Invisibility and stealth are useless. While detecting the enemy's position, it activates a vast amount of water element, suppressing the opponent's speed and magic sensing ability. Within the area covered by the water curtain heavenly splendor, all magical energy except for water-based energy will be completely suppressed. Unfortunately, this move holds no meaning for Yunxi. He doesn't know any magic in this world. He can't even conjure a fireball. What he possesses is a combat skill that is considered peak in the Endless Gods domain. The Battle God genre, rigid body. I'll kick you right in the face, no matter what the water curtain heavenly splendor or the mimicking fields say. Based on the magic system in this world's divine era, War Dancer made a huge mistake. A giant silver foot descended from the sky, smashing through the defensive water curtain heavenly splendor of aqua blue and brutally kicking the emerald sea dragon beast on its dragon head. Boom! In that moment, War Dancer's vision went black and couldn't see anything. This was a sign that the emerald sea dragon beast's visual system was almost crashing. Suddenly, thousands of Sea Serpent Legion reacted and launched a more fierce and accurate attack with explosive ice spears towards the faceless god. Pafu, 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 add 1 second. Add 1 second. Add 1 second. Yunxi could hear the joyful sound coming from Pafu. This powerful attack put a great burden on the Pafu system, and the sea serpent's cooling attacks came just in time. He even started to feel that these little creatures would make good allies. This way, the duration of his full power mode could greatly increase. Boom! War Dancer, whose visual system went offline, didn't panic. The defense of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast was almost invincible in the water. She just had a dizzying blow to her head and was not fatally wounded. People often say that beautiful things are often dangerous, and War Dancer now understands this well. The attack power of this silver giant is in no way inferior to the black iron giant standing on the ground. Can there really be war tools that can rival the ancient weapons of the underground cemetery in this world? The battle armor on the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast automatically burst open, revealing a crystal body that shimmered. These elegant and gorgeous runes are the unique symbols of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. The armor outside is made of materials used to build sea serpents, and taking off this armor means that the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast is ready for full battle mode. Chapter 1151 Leviathan, the central battleground of the Empire's main waterway. The 10 artillery camps surrounding the central waterway were in ruins, filled with fragments of bodies and destroyed modern mechanical cannons. The newly formed artillery regiment, which took the Empire 3 years to build, was completely destroyed in this battle, with only a survival rate of less than 10%. Most of them were commanders of the artillery camps. When the deadly ice spear flew towards them, it was the Empire's magic armored knights who fought desperately to protect them and save these elite soldiers of the Empire. Although the people were saved, their spirits were completely shattered. Even the most stubborn soldiers of the Empire's iron-blooded army lost confidence in victory. This counterattack from the Sea Serpent Legion injected a deadly toxin into the entire Leviathan Empire army, killing the last bit of suspense in this war. For the Leviathan Empire, they had already lost the last chance to confront the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast on the battlefield. The 9 major titled machines of the Empire, half of them have already been expelled. The 250-type mechanized artillery group, representing the Empire's latest technological achievement, was completely defeated by the ice spear explosion. At this moment, even the strongest Empire knights were bewildered and lost the will to continue fighting. Unless a miracle happens, the catastrophic defeat of the Leviathan Empire is now unavoidable. Everything happened just as War Dancer had predicted. However, she didn't anticipate the appearance of the faceless god. It was an extraordinary creation that even the Empire's magic armored knights had never imagined, and they were shocked to see such a powerful reinforcement in their moment of defeat. When the 40-meter-tall silver-white giant emerged from the mountains and launched an unstoppable charge towards the Sea Serpent Legion, many of the Empire's magic armored knights believed they were hallucinating due to their defeat. What is that? Do we have this model in our titled machine in our empire? The thunderous footsteps, the thunderous charge, made the surviving knights of the Leviathan Empire suffocate one by one. As soldiers, they instinctively put themselves in it and realized that if they faced the charge of this 40-meter giant, they probably wouldn't even have the courage to resist. Fortunately, this silver giant is on their side. When the faceless god leaped high and the falling justice blasted open the central water vein, exploding the hidden emerald sea dragon beast within, everyone went crazy. Charge! We have to win. Tear that sea serpent apart. The hysterical shouts were hard to imagine coming from the Empire's soldiers with their iron will. The sea monster's attack was really painful for them. Now, they can only hope for a miracle to happen. And the miracle truly came. In the misty drizzle, two gigantic beings from another world stepped into the battlefield and began an earth-shattering fight. Waves of water-blue ripples spread out, and all the sea monsters returned to the central water source. The water curtain heavenly splendor, once an imperial burying ground for titled machines, reappeared. The temperature in the air suddenly dropped, even affecting the weather. Facing the ancient weapon, the faceless god, the emerald sea dragon beast also revealed its ultimate power. A cold glow spread on the surface of the emerald sea dragon beast after it shed its armor, forming a ring of icy light. The sea monster legion gathered around continuously launched exploding ice spears at the faceless god. Countless ice crystal fragments burst open on the body of the faceless god, splashing a sky full of ice chips. It's very cool. Can I have more? Yunshi could feel Pafu's incredibly happy mood. In the state of full power of the faceless god, whether it's the water curtain heavenly splendor around, the exploding ice spears from the Sea Serpent Legion, or the icy aura from the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast itself, all of them are good things that cool down the temperature. The Pafu system's cooldown is missing these cooling methods. In the recent battle with the Black Iron Giant, if there were these cooling methods, the time limit for the fight might have been increased by more than a third. After removing the surface armor, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast became faster and more agile, instantly entangling the silver giant that was fighting it in close combat. The strangling tactic is a power rooted in the instinct of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and it can be called a talent. With the effect of the extreme icy aura, freezing the opponent's blood, and then using the immensely powerful strength of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast to forcibly crush the opponent, this tactic is what the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast is good at when it's alive. Unfortunately, the faceless god is the opponent of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast this time, a vessel that fundamentally possesses divine nature. Even the Black Iron Giant with the power of the entire earth cannot achieve what the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast cannot do, which is being good at enduring battles. Even though Emerald Sea Dragon Beast was originally the one who attacked, it was Yun Shi who grabbed tightly onto Emerald Sea Dragon Beast's neck and fiercely tore at its incredibly tough body. By the time War Dancer realized something was wrong, the graceful body of Emerald Sea Dragon Beast had already been forcibly stretched by around 10 meters. SSS. SSS. A large amount of steam was expelled from the shoulders and hollow head of the faceless god. This was a sign of the Pafu system running at full power and overloading. So hot. Within the core of Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, War Dancer felt a high temperature that should have been completely unfelt underwater. It was as if an underwater volcano was erupting, spewing out scorching hot magma. Even if you are a volcano, I will seal you off." War Dancer gritted their teeth and gave the order for full support to the surrounding Sea Serpent Legion. More explosive ice spears were created and madly launched at the body of the faceless god. Head, waist, heart, lower body. In theory, the critical areas were all shot. Unfortunately, as the divine vessel prepared for creator god Sia, the faceless god doesn't have any weaknesses. The only unstable element is the operation time of the PAFU system. After all, it's just a temporary simulated version of the system. Once the PAFU's avatar overheats, they will all die, and the faceless god without the PAFU system will become a mere giant puppet. Eternal Icy Coffin. Sensing the opponent's unimaginable power, War Dancer decisively used Emerald Sea Dragon Beast's strongest move. A lot of ice blue runes appeared on the sleek body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. These were secret weapons prepared by the King of Undead, the owner of the underground cemetery. These runes, one after another, like rings and sections, adorned the 100-meter-long body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. It looked like a magical scroll that was already written, showing an incredible and mysterious beauty. The Emerald Sea Dragon Beast didn't have the same explosive power and attack power as the Black Iron Giant. It was more of a guerrilla and logistical support type of weapon, having the strongest water combat ability among all the war tools of the underground cemetery. Its sleek body shape was most suitable for water combat. Whether it was the central water vein of the Empire or the vast ocean, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast could unleash more than 200% of its strength. As the ultimate water monster in Sia's world, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast had the ability to dominate the sea. Its habitat was in the icy oceans of the far north, and it was a born water and ice hybrid dragon, a sea dragon that was extremely rare even among dragons. Once the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast unleashed all the power of its icy cold, it could freeze even the sea, creating a landscape of frozen miles. Yes, it was one of the 4 Zakas that Yunshi had encountered in the primal dragon world. The ice dragon Zakaho possessed this power. However, compared to the ice dragon Zaka's freezing of miles, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast's icy coffin was even more terrifying to humans, and its conditions of use were even more demanding. First, it would draw the opponent into its own field. Next, you must wrap your own body around the other person's body. Finally, by using your own body as the center, you need to use up all your magical power to unleash this move. Snap! 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 Activate Eternal Icy Coffin. Yunshi didn't even have time to expand his achievements before he noticed that the temperature around him dropped to an unbelievably low level. Compared to the destructive forbidden spells people have in mind, the activation time of Eternal Icy Coffin is incredibly fast. From the first ice blue frost rune lighting up to the final rune connecting, it only took 3 seconds. The light rain from the sky turned into hail, and the blue waterfall heavenly splendor turned into a ring of ice that isolated everything, just like the black stone wall recently used by the Black Iron Giant. With the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast at its core, a gigantic ice coffin over 100 meters high suddenly appeared in the center of the Empire's central water vein, resembling a small mountain. In the deepest part of the ice coffin, there was the figure of a faceless god tearing apart the body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. Everything was frozen. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. 5 minutes. A silence fell upon the world. The Eternal Icy Coffin is a powerful spell that once activated, even a real dragon cannot escape and can only be trapped by its magic. If it wasn't for War Dancer's early death, she would also have been unable to withstand this deadly icy cold and would have turned into an ice sculpture. We won. War Dancer walked out of the core of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast and, feeling quite exhausted, sat on the head of the dragon, which had been frozen into an ice sculpture. She had never encountered such a challenging enemy before, not even on the battlefields of the Divine Era. The Emerald Sea Dragon Beast was forced to unleash its last remaining power and sealed itself along with the enemy. The conquest of the Leviathan Empire would likely be significantly delayed. Unlike her, the enemy was a living creature, no matter what race, and would surely die once sealed in the icy coffin. The only ones who can survive inside the icy coffin are those who, like her, are already dead. Be careful, War Dancer. He's still moving. Just when War Dancer thought everything had come to an end, Past Princess popped out from the silver giant's shoulder, hurriedly reminding her little sister. What? How is this possible? War Dancer stared at Past Princess, her eyes filled with confusion. Crack! 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 Inside the icy coffin, which even the mighty dragon couldn't escape from, the silver giant was slowly lifting its head. Cracks appeared one after another inside the impregnable icy coffin, indicating that it was on the verge of collapse, despite being indestructible even against attacks from 3 dragons. Ah! Like a long-awaited volcanic eruption, the faceless god erupted. That was the voice of a god, a furious roar from a rigid body. Without any concerns about overheating thanks to the Pafu system, Yunshi confidently controlled the faceless god. The icy coffin could not withstand the furious strike from God's vessel. The power of the faceless god was incomparable to that of a dragon, it was a higher level of existence. Even without any weapons, using only his fists, Yunshi's punches could break through the sky. The punches from the rigid body were invincible and crushed everything in their path. Snap! Click! Click! Boom! With a series of punches, Yunshi completely smashed Icy Coffin from the inside. Taking advantage of Icy Coffin's cooldown effect, Yunshi tightly grasped the vital point of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, which was about 10 meters below its head. Just now, this area had already been torn apart by Yunshi, leaving behind numerous wounds. Now, Yunshi took it a step further, aiming to completely tear this part apart. Sizzle! War Dancer's astonished eyes watched as the long body and head of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast were completely severed. Its transparent body was split in half like a torn ribbon. Along with the ripping of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, her head also showed faint signs of fractures. This was a synchronous phenomenon where the injuries of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast affected her soul. How could this be? The body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast was a mythical creature template weapon, strengthened by the pure blood of the dragon race. Its defense was strong enough to withstand attacks from the constellation gods' weapons of humans. In this world, there are people who can tear apart the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast using only their pure and brute strength. This is even more difficult than tearing apart a giant dragon. Splash! A large amount of ice-blue cold liquid fell onto the body of the faceless god, chilling to the bone. It was the liquid substance inside the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, a mysterious substance that doesn't belong to this world, provided by the owner of the underground cemetery. Similar substances can also be found inside the body of the Black Iron Giant. Phew, so tiring. Inside the core of the faceless god, Yunshi was sweating profusely, almost exhausted. Unlike the impulsive Black Iron Giant, the War Dancer controlling the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast had very accurate timing in their judgments and didn't give him any opportunity to take advantage. They had just started fighting, but both sides had already revealed their strongest moves. Using itself as the core, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast unleashed the Water Curtain Heavenly Splendor, which wrapped around the faceless god and released the strongest ice sealing technique, the Frozen Icy Coffin. Yunshi chose to take the risk and launch a sudden attack, but he didn't expect that the characteristics of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast would be completely different from the Black Iron Giant. The timing of unleashing the icy coffin was flawless. In the end, the outcome was determined by the fundamental difference between the two sides. Chapter 1152 The Eternal Icy Coffin of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast is very powerful. It is located in the central water vein and can even seal a true underwater volcano during rainy weather. However, Yunshi's faceless god is more powerful and violent than the underwater volcano. With the control of God's vessel, Yunshi's combat power can even rival that of his childhood sweetheart in the water god's world. Originally, this state could only be sustained for a short 5 minutes. However, with the extreme low temperature of the eternal icy coffin, which almost freezes molecular motion, the heating problem of the Pafu system was perfectly solved. During the 5 minutes sealed in the eternal icy coffin, Yunshi's power not only didn't weaken, but instead kept increasing. Like a suppressed volcano erupting, it surpassed the critical point of the crust in a certain world, flipping the entire land upside down. The Emerald Sea Dragon Beast became a victim of this eruption. The icy halo it had, and the eternal icy coffin it created, became the driving force behind the eruption of the Pafu system. Only in this extremely cold environment, Yunshi and Pafu system could burst out so crazily, even tearing apart the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast with its super tough body. Stop overloading. After tearing off the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast's head, Yunshi breathed heavily, immediately stopping the faceless god's eruption mode. As soon as the freezing environment of the eternal icy coffin was lost, the after-effects of excessive eruption appeared. Now, about half of the Pafu system inside the faceless god stopped working. Without the cooling system provided by the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, the overloaded Pafu clones died one after another. This is the biggest flaw of the faceless god. The temporary simulated system just can't match the original system used by deities. Only freaks like Yunshi and Pafu could create such a peculiar operating system according to the situation. Ah, my head's gone, my head's gone. You villain. What have you done to the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, the dancer? The enraged princess fiercely bit Yunshi's ear and shouted in grief and anger. Sorry, this is the battlefield. Yunshi adjusted the malfunctioning half of the Pafu system inside the faceless god, allowing new individuals to split from Pafu and fill the gaps. Compared to the Pafu clones that died, the newly born clones need time to learn and get used to their position and operating speed, just like replacing old mechanical parts with new ones that require a break-in period. Even if it's just a tiny difference of 1 in 10,000, when magnified on a divine vessel like the faceless god, it is an error that cannot be ignored. In the previous battle with the Black Iron Giant, the Pafu system had already consumed many excellent clones. After that battle, more than 70% of the original Pafu clones had died, and the remaining ones were the most outstanding and had the highest carrying capacity, the Pafu splitters. They started getting used to working in extremely harsh environments and began mastering the operating speed of the faceless god. At the same time, using their unique way of communication, they taught the new little ones how to control the silver giant's divine body. Every sacrifice of the Pafu has meaning. The Pafu system is growing rapidly. Although they don't have human-like intelligence, they possess the incredible adaptability typical of slimes. The reason why the slime race can spread throughout the entire Endless Gods domain is precisely because of this terrifying adaptability. In volcanic zones, icy worlds, underground caves, and the depths of the sea, slimes, which are lower level than even plants in all monster systems and are close to primitive single-celled organisms, always find a way to survive. Now, the Paphos living inside the body of the faceless god are also working hard to adapt to the environment inside the divine vessel, using their unique endurance and bravery, even willing to sacrifice themselves without fear of death. As more and more of their companions die, they become more adaptable to the faceless god. After being frozen by the eternal icy coffin, they even develop a cold resistance on their own. They not only have to survive in extremely hot and cold environments, but also adapt to the high-speed movements that exceed the speed of sound. The Paphos have already begun to evolve towards some unknown direction. Pafu. You're amazing. When Yunshi realized that half of the Pafu inside the faceless god had died, he thought it would completely shut down this time. Pafu, the main Pafu, residing in the green jewel on Yunshi's chest, back of his hand, and waist, speaks with confidence, as if telling its master that this is just a small matter. Little Pafu has a big amount of energy. You actually defeated the Dance Princess's Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. What in the world is this monster? Yunshi's punches and kicks had no effect on him, which made past Princess furious. War Dancer's Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, who even she couldn't defeat in the water, was unexpectedly defeated by this unknown opponent. Moreover, he shattered Emerald Sea Dragon Beast's strongest move, the Eternal Icy Coffin, with a frontal attack. This accomplishment has never been achieved by anyone even in the Divine Era battlefield. As a result, the two major war machines sent by the underground cemetery to conquer the world were defeated by this silver giant. Of course, in the end, it's always Dad who wins. In the underground cemetery, there are even stronger and more terrifying guardians who have yet to awaken. Not to mention, once the Phantom of the Opera and the Rift Space Dragon are deployed, this silver giant will undoubtedly be defeated. The songstress's ability was so powerful that even the Dragon Clan couldn't do anything about it. However, for some reason, whenever past Princess looked at that tired-looking figure, she always had a bad feeling. This person seemed to be able to create miracles. No matter who the opponent was, the fire in his eyes never stopped burning. It seemed that he was not looking at the present opponent, but at a more distant and higher world. In this way, I have won too. Yunshi controlled the somewhat unstable faceless god, reached out his hand, and grabbed that seemingly ghostly figure. There were clear signs of a broken neck on her, which gave a chilling feeling. However, she was extremely beautiful. Even in her severely injured and unconscious state, she still appeared so charming and lovable. Chapter 1153. At the moment and the faceless god achieved a decisive victory, on a high point near the central water vein in the mountains. Hazy raindrops fell in this area, causing a translucent ripple for some unknown reason, as if there was an invisible object in the air blocking the raindrops from falling. This is a secret stronghold of the Empire, with a passage dug out from inside the mountain, finally creating a sniper point. Even the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast didn't notice the presence of this secret Imperial camp. At this moment, inside this sniper point protected by special magic, a strange machine was being set up in the center of the camp. With a length of over 20 meters, the machine had a three-part composite mechanical structure. It displayed a graceful streamlined shape, which looked like a work of art compared to the bulky and heavy 250 mechanical cannon. A large bracket made of memory metal was firmly fixed on the ground, and the three-part mechanical structure slowly rotated with a faint blue glow. Do we still need to launch an attack, teacher? Ludwig XII himself appeared in the center of the mysterious weapon. Behind him, the last three powerful machines of the Empire are running at a crazy speed, creating thunderous ripples in the air. The Empire's ultimate weapon, still in the development stage, is the massive spiral electromagnetic cannon, designed for decisive battles. The principle is that the three machines create a large electromagnetic coil under their feet, harnessing their power to supply energy to the Empire's experimental electromagnetic cannon. Compared to traditional cannons that use chemical energy, the experimental large spiral electromagnetic cannon can unleash projectiles that can tear the ground apart. Its speed and power are enough to shred the body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. The plan of Imperial Sage Poinkar is to summon the ancient weapons of the Sia Kingdom, lure out the hidden Emerald Sea Dragon Beast in the central water vein, and destroy both ancient weapons with a single strike while the two sides are engaged in battle. Killing two birds with one stone, using one electromagnetic cannon to take care of two troublesome enemies, it's almost a perfect plan. Once the massive spiral electromagnetic cannon has built up enough power, it becomes truly formidable. Inside the spiral electric cannon, there is a special device that can combine the power of all three machines and continuously enhance their upper limit. In theory, a full-powered shot from the massive spiral electromagnetic cannon is equivalent to the combined force of nearly 100 of these machines. It takes several days to fully charge the large spiral electromagnetic cannon before it can unleash a powerful attack that can destroy everything. Even if there is a live dragon, a fully charged large spiral electromagnetic cannon can kill it with a single shot. But now, Imperial Sage Poinkar hesitated, which was rare for him. The information doesn't match. In the history of the Divine Era, such a weapon has never appeared. In the secret records left by the red-robed mages who once ruled the continent, there are traces of the Black Iron Giant, the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and the unseen Opera House Phantom and Rift Space Dragon. Those traces were erased from history by the mages, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. Only the silver-white giant from the Sia Kingdom truly has no presence in history, not even a hint of a shadow. This also posed a challenge for the calculating Poinkar. Based on the records of the Divine Era War, he roughly estimated the strength of the Black Iron Giant and the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, and concluded that as long as the large spiral electromagnetic cannon is fully powered, it can penetrate these ancient weapons with a single shot. Any opponent with data can calculate the upper limit and find a way to defeat them. Science is a realistic way to analyze and solve problems. However, the formula doesn't work for opponents with unknown data. At this moment, Poinkar is facing a century-old problem, trying to calculate the answer without knowing the data. Stop attacking and gather more information. After witnessing the silver giant being sealed in the eternal icy coffin and then breaking free, tearing apart the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, Poinkar issued the order to terminate the plan codenamed Dragon Hunting Operation. Bang! 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 3 machines ran for several days and nights, desperately charging the developing large spiral electromagnetic cannon. Suddenly, the titled machine collapsed with a loud crash. Inside, the skilled operators, the Empire's most elite hero-ranked knights, foamed at the mouth and lost consciousness. Normal humans could never continuously drive a titled machine for 3 days and nights, even hero-ranked knights couldn't achieve it. In order to turn them into qualified power sources, Poinkar made them consume special drugs, essentially using precious hero-ranked knights as generators. With the command to forcibly terminate their mission, the 3 hero-ranked knights were finally freed from the tragic duties of the power generator. Morris, retrieve these machines, Poinkar ordered the red magic armored knight stationed in a corner of the camp, then walked away from this sniper point without looking back. Morris, who had already firmly entered the core of the Empire and showed signs of further ascent, had a strange smile on his lips as he looked at the large spiral electromagnetic cannon with intense eyes. Everything is mine, whether it's the Black Overlord or this large spiral electromagnetic cannon, soon they will all be mine. What belongs to me, no one can take away. Even this empire, this world, will soon be mine. Ada. Ada. After secretly exchanging a secret signal that only they understood, the newest rising force within the Imperial Army began taking control of this retreating sniper camp. The Empire's hardship is the perfect opportunity for these powerful and honest young people to step onto the stage. Even Ludwig XII had high hopes for this new generation of knights with magic armor, who came from small noble families or even commoners, believing that they were the future of the Empire. However, there is a condition: they must be loyal and obedient dogs to the Empire, serving the royal and noble families. Only obedient dogs will be rewarded. Nobody noticed that these knights, who were seen as loyal dogs of the Empire, had silently been infected by an ominous darkness in their eyes. Those ancient weapons are really powerful. Sooner or later, we will also have this kind of power. Everything is for the great Ada. Hooray for Ada! These young people with black particles in their eyes have already started occupying important positions in the Empire. In a time of weakened magic tide, Who can truly resist the power of the extraordinary? Chapter 1154 Sinking, continuously sinking. It seems like sinking endlessly into darkness, where there is only coldness and death. Oh, is that so? Did I lose again? Just like back then, thinking I could create miracles and bring laughter to people through my dance. The result waiting there was only pain and suffering, sinking into the deep underwater. Clearly wanting to stay alive, wanting to fulfill her promise, so even in the end, struggling hard to try to float to the surface. However, in the end, she still broke her promise. There was a feeling of a broken neck, obviously no longer a living creature, but as the defeated half of her emerald sea dragon beast, the feeling of being torn apart was so real. If it were a human, they would probably have died because of this complete synchronization. That's why the king made the soul of the deceased as the core of the emerald sea dragon beast, so no matter what kind of blow it encountered, the core wouldn't be destroyed. Indeed, not wanting to lose, not even once. Yearning for power, yearning for even stronger power. So, she must open her eyes again. Light blue halo began to appear in War Dancer's eyes, and the broken marks on her neck started to slowly disappear. Feeling something very, very warm. What is it? It slowly spreads from the palm of the hand, making one feel a sense of peace and happiness. Human hand. Why would it be a human hand? As a deceased being, she had already become the natural enemy of humans. Are you awake? Yunshi looked at War Dancer, whom he had pulled out from inside the emerald sea dragon beast. This was a beautiful woman with a beauty mark on the corner of her mouth, possessing a mature temperament that past princess didn't have. She had a well-endowed chest and a very daring attire. Wearing a southern-style dress that revealed her snow-white waist, with a slightly seductive facial contour, a dancer's ankle bracelet, and a flame mark on her forehead, all exuding a natural seductive charm. The water-based ultimate weapon, Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, was under the control of Dance Princess, who gave off a burning flame sensation. She, Teacher Cassina the Battle God, were somewhat similar. It was said that Cassina the Battle God often made guest appearances as a dance princess in a circus, causing quite a stir when recognized several times. Even in death, she wore the same dress she wore in her final dance, representing her strong obsession with dancing itself. However, her stage, that used to be for dancing, turned into a battlefield, and she became the war dancer, bringing death to the enemies. The Sea Serpent Legion under her command displayed their battle art, completely defeating the arrogant Leviathan Empire, forcing them to seek help from the Sia Kingdom. Her loss to Yunshi was not due to her failure in battle art, but rather the fundamental difference between the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast and the Faceless God. Compared to the single-minded Black Iron Giant, the pressure from the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast on Yunshi was greater. If it wasn't for the Faceless God's invulnerable body, when trapped in the eternal icy coffin, he would have already lost. That's great, Dad's power is indeed the most powerful. You won the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, but it cannot harm the dancing princess. Past Princess joyfully looked at the war dancer who came over. They are the core of ancient weapons in the underground cemetery, and also independent guardians. Although the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast seems lifeless, it is not a living creature itself. It is the ultimate underwater weapon created by the underground cemetery using the body of a sea dragon. The blue blood inside it is not the real blood of a sea dragon, but the embodiment of the netherworld essence that was filled into the sea dragon's body, causing it to evolve into the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. The interior of the Black Iron Giant is the same. The ancient weapons of the underground cemetery all have this blue blood flowing inside. Is that so? I lost. Remembering the moment when the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast had its neck torn off, the war dancer touched her own neck, where the vivid memory of decapitation still lingered. What is this exactly? After becoming Yunshi's captive, the war dancer willingly gave up resistance. Without the soul core of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, it is merely a simple soul core, with almost negligible ability to interfere with the real world. It is immune to all physical and magical attacks, but it also cannot use any physical or magical attacks itself. At most, it can slightly lower the air temperature with its mental power, like moving the curtains with a breeze in the middle of the night. They designed these things to be like weapon parts, similar to how individual parts of a weapon are meaningless if the weapon itself is destroyed. Sorry, I can't say. At this stage, we are still enemies, Yunshi shook his head. It was okay to reveal his identity as Silver Dragon, but Starchild's trial had to remain absolutely secret. It was unquestionable that the owner of the underground cemetery was his enemy. In order to protect Ain, Adley knew that the upcoming battles could be more brutal. For this reason, he needed to develop more abilities as the Faceless God. Isn't he just a silver dragon who is shameless and lecherous? Past Princess looked at Yunshi with a disdainful gaze. Adley had already exposed this guy's identity. So, he was actually a giant dragon. Yeah, if there's any force in this world that can resist the invasion of the underground cemetery, it would only be the dragon race. In the previous battle, they all fought and ended up in a tie with the dragon race. It could be said that the dragon race is the only species in this world with the ability to fight against the underground cemetery. This giant, which is silver-white in color, is probably a secret weapon developed by the Dragon Clan. It doesn't look like something that can be created during this period when magic is declining. The Dragon Clan, they have finally appeared, War Dancer acknowledged Past Princess's judgment. If the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast lost to an ancient war weapon controlled by a higher-ranking Dragon Clan, then it can be explained. The power that shattered the Eternal Icy Coffin clearly doesn't belong to this era. That is a power that only exists in the Divine Era, completely unrelated to the world's science. Yunshi didn't know how to explain. It is true that he has the flesh and blood of a silver dragon, but it is not something from the Dragon Clan of this world. It comes from the daughter of the Supreme Dragon God, the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, and her dragon's bloodline power. It seems correct to say that the Dragon Clan defeated the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. Without the flesh and blood of star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel in the Pafu system, the Faceless God cannot even be activated. So, are we going to start another war for world dominance, Silver Dragon? War Dancer stared at the bewildered Yunshi, asking each word. This question will determine the fate of the whole world. Chapter 1155 For Underground Cemetery. Returning to this world naturally means reclaiming the continent's king's authority that belongs to the King of Undead. That is the most splendid crown of the continent, which the King of Undead personally took from the high and mighty dragon tribe during the Divine Era War. Without the King of Undead's intervention, the humans who declared war on the dragon tribe would have been extinct long ago, and this continental crown is the only proof of a ruler recognized by the dragons. The return of the king will naturally proclaim his sovereignty over the world. Although the King of Undead is not particularly interested in ruling the world, otherwise he would not have abandoned all glory and hidden in the underground cemetery with the bodies of his friends, benefactors, and lovers. However, when the Tower of Heaven rises and the King of Undead decides to fulfill his mission once again, it will be the day of the king's return. The King of Undead is the greatest mystery on the side of humans, the strongest hero who single-handedly repelled the dragon tribe. The Black Iron Giant, Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, was sent out to declare to all the countries on the continent that a new era has arrived. No matter which world, the truth that the strong are respected is universally accepted. Due to its own strength, the Leviathan Empire can continuously invade and annex other countries. In the decades since Emperor Ludwig XII vigorously developed science, the entire empire's territory has doubled. Externally, they adopt brutal military invasions. Internally, they suppress any dissenting voices in the name of the empire, demonstrating their firmness. Opponents are all defeated, even if they were once friends or former lovers. Ludwig XII never stops his conquest. The King of Conquest. The King of Transformation. The Iron-Blooded King. People called Ludwig XII by this name and praised him as the greatest conqueror in the history of the Leviathan Empire. The soldiers of his empire's army have strong confidence in victory and will never surrender to any enemy. Victory! 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 The whole Leviathan Empire is like a powerful machine bursting with energy, ruthlessly crushing and devouring countries that have not developed scientific technology. In this process, the number of dead exceeds millions, and more than double-digit countries have fallen under the iron hooves of the Leviathan Empire's magic armor. Even on the day the Emerald Sea Dragon beast appeared in the central water vein of the Empire's 6 titled machines still attacked the borders of other countries, executing the Empire's war plan. They would easily find a reason, such as the disappearance of border soldiers, and dare to advance into the enemy's country and occupy a stronghold, followed by the army that has already been prepared, rushing in. Sometimes, they didn't even need a reason, they simply invaded directly. The weak don't have the right to say no. The Leviathan Empire had to withdraw the titled machines responsible for the invasion mission until the Emerald Sea Dragon beast appeared, to attack this unexpected ancient weapon. In war, there is no right or wrong, only the distribution of interests. Compared to the Empire's methods, the war dancer never harms civilians. Only causing trouble for the Imperial Army is already very gentle. However, she couldn't have anticipated that in this era of declining magic tide, there would still be unexpected occurrences like Yunshi. Clearly, based on the intelligence gathered before the expedition, the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan have long been unknown in this era of declining magic tide. The last sighting report of the dragons dates back 1,000 years. At this moment, the issue concerning the war dancer is related to the underground cemetery and the future of the Dragon Clan. Whether the former continent dominators, the world rulers known as the Dragon Clan, and the current continent king, the returning king of undead, will reopen the world war or not. These two forces represent the will at the top of the pyramid in Sia's world. The king of undead, the most mysterious incarnation of humans on Sia's side. The Dragon Clan on Leviathan's side, the absolute ruler of the Leviathan faction. If Yunshi answers yes here, the Divine Era War will repeat, and the entire continent will be engulfed in flames. No. This is just my personal will. Yunshi cannot make decisions on behalf of the Dragon Clan of this world. He represents only himself, only the Silver Dragon, Ash. Are you the only dragon? War Dancer looked at Yunshi in disbelief. Even during the Divine Era War, it would be suicidal for just one dragon to challenge the ultimate representation of the mysterious side of humans, the King of Undead, who resides in the underground cemetery. Yes, now I am the only one. But I have a promise to protect them, Yunshi calmly replied to War Dancer's question, just not mentioning his mission to collect the 12 Constellation Gods' weapons. Do you have feelings for humans? War Dancer felt like he had encountered a mentally unstable silver dragon. How could the Dragon Clan like humans? That's impossible. Both species have reproductive isolation. No, wait, there seems to be a precedent for this. War Dancer remembered that during the Divine Era's ignorance period, there were actually humans from the Golden Ancient People who fell in love with dragons. As the favored ones of Sia, the Golden Ancient People had the ability to mate and produce offspring with all creatures in the world, including dragons. There are indeed legends of a few unions and offspring being born between humans and dragons during that time, and the relationship between the humans of that era and the Dragon Clan was actually quite good. As the descendants of the Golden Ancient People, who were known as the Golden Ones, they were almost the only special beings recognized by dragons and allowed to be their equals. Of course, at that time, the Dragon Clan could never have imagined that just 12 Golden Ancient People would eventually give rise to a whole new race, a race that would challenge the dragon clan's dominance and eventually even drive them out of the continent. Compared to the long reproductive period of the dragon clan, humans can give birth to a new generation in just 10 months, which is even more magical than magic itself. There is no other intelligent race in the whole world that can match humans in this aspect. Even though the power of the golden bloodline keeps diluting, humans still manage to grow rapidly in a short amount of time due to their outstanding learning ability, ambition, and crucially, their fast reproduction speed. On the other hand, the dragon clan remains unchanged, with the same strength, indifference, and arrogance. They only value the golden ancient people and disregard any other living beings in this world. Humans who are able to like the dragon clan. Dragons who are able to fall in love with humans. Both sides are truly unique and abnormal, like rare gems among rare gems. I knew it, this is a shameless and lecherous silver dragon. Dancer, do you know that in the tower of this silver dragon, there are hundreds of girls who don't wear clothes bathing every day? Even 9-year-old children are not spared by this foolish silver dragon. Chapter 1156, They entered the tower voluntarily to practice. Yunshi wanted to explain that he didn't do anything to the girls from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order who were hatching eggs in the Tower of God. Unfortunately, Princess Pass didn't believe a single word he said, not even a punctuation mark. What kind of practice requires taking off all your clothes, hugging that strange thing, and remembering what she saw in the underground palace during those few days, past Princess's face turned bright red. Looking at Yunshi's eyes, it turned into complete contempt, the kind that wanted to trample him underfoot. People with power always like to do whatever they want. This was an additional attack from the war dancer. Sigh. I'm really innocent. Yunshi disconnected from the Pafu system and collapsed into the control core of the faceless god. Hiss. A large amount of steam erupted from the head and hollow shoulders of the faceless god. The engine stopped. Because one hand was holding the head of the Emerald Sea Dragon beast, and the other hand was dragging its body, the return journey took more energy for Yunshi than the way here. Halfway through, both Yunshi and the Pafu system reached their limits and needed to rest. Yunshi didn't know where this place was. Judging from the rough direction, it should be in the blank area between the Leviathan Empire and the Sia Kingdom. No matter which side you look at, there are dense forests and towering mountains. Boom! Yunshi threw the huge body of the Emerald Sea Dragon beast to the side, causing a loud roar, while its head remained at his feet. Pafu, let's take a rest. After traveling day and night, fighting a life-and-death battle with the Emerald Sea Dragon beast, and dragging its body for most of the day, Yunshi was really tired. Pafu. Pafu temporarily disconnected from the internally reaching limit of the Faceless God's divided entities and walked out of the core of the Faceless God with Yunshi. It was already evening. Looking up, you could see the sky filled with many stars. No matter what happens in Sia's world, only this starry sky seems to remain constant. Starting from the divine era, both humans and dragon clans have always admired the stars above their heads and tried everything to fly beyond the atmosphere. Unfortunately, it turned out to be an impossible task. Whether it was the dragon clan at the peak of individual strength in Sia's world or the mages of the divine era who took human magic civilization to its peak, neither could break through the constraints of the sky. What kind of beings are you? Yunshi looked at the past princess and war dancer who had come out of the faceless god with him. Black Iron Giant. Emerald Sea Dragon Beast. These are ancient weapons that could shock the world, but in Yunshi's eyes, the past princess and war dancer, who are the cores of these weapons, were even more incredible creations. They are closely connected to ancient weapons, but they surpass these ancient weapons. Compared to the Black Iron Giant and Emerald Sea Dragon Beast that were defeated by Yunshi, their level of mystery is even higher. Yunshi hasn't even heard of the existence of soul cores in his study of Sky Sword God's domain. Interfering with the soul-level technology is the pinnacle of advanced technology. I am Daddy's princess, forever the cutest princess. Past princess made a funny face at Yunshi, with a defiant expression on her face. With War Dancer as her companion, the courage of this little princess suddenly increased a lot. Even knowing that Yunshi is a silver dragon, she has no fear at all. We are weapons of the king, and weapons only need to know how to fight. Compared to the overly naive past princess, War Dancer is obviously more mature. Are you all already dead? Yunshi could never understand this question. At this moment, how exactly do they exist? Ghosts and such can't be compared to them at all. At least, Yunshi didn't know of any ghosts that could bathe in the lava lake and defeat the strongest military empire on this continent, commanding the Sea Serpent Legion and unmanned weapons. From them, Yunshi felt something extraordinary, which didn't seem like a product of Sia's world civilization. Even in the endless God's domain, interference with souls is the power of gods, and most gods don't possess such power. This has nothing to do with strength, it requires related laws and elements. Even powerful beings like Teacher Cassina the battle god don't know how to resurrect the souls of the dead. Of course, she wouldn't, but sending the deceased Sue back to hell would be a piece of cake for her. We are special. War Dancer looked at Yunshi, who reached out to touch her, and for some reason, her heart softened, and she didn't refuse. In her lifetime, she was a captivating and passionate dancer. Her biggest wish was to bring laughter and happiness to people with her song and dance, together with the songstress. After she died, she became the embodiment of war and fought a fierce battle with Leviathan's followers on the battlefield of the Divine Era. It has been so long that she almost forgot the feeling of being touched and caressed by others. Yunshi lightly touched the skin of War Dancer with no intention of being rude, just a simple gesture of contact. The concept of a soul core is filled with so much mystery, it is the highest level of mystery even in the endless God's domain. If the deceased could continue to exist in this way, it is unknown how many people would pay any price for it. The resurrection of the dead and immortality are eternal dreams of humanity. Now, this dream is within Yunshi's fingertips, realized by the owner of the underground cemetery through some kind of method. Compared to the Black Iron Giant and the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, they are actually the most precious treasures of the underground cemetery. Dots of radiance danced on Yunshi's fingertips. Encountered. Yunshi looked at the swirling soul radiance on his fingertips, unsure of what it meant. Clearly, no matter how carefully past princess tried to touch it, she couldn't. Despite being kicked, stepped on, and sat on by her, those were just phenomena caused by the interference of soul power with reality. Past princess, existing in the core state of the soul, was fundamentally inaccessible, a fact that Yunshi had already confirmed. Don't let your guard down. Dancer, our core cannot be entered. Past princess stared at War Dancer, who was communicating with Yunshi, with an expression of utter shock, as if she had witnessed something incredibly terrifying. It's okay. This person might be different. Chapter 1157. Just like past princess said, War Dancer, who exists in the way of the soul core, will absolutely not be touched by Yunshi as long as she doesn't let her guard down. Don't look at how past princess tears and bites, kicks and stomps on Yunshi, but she has never really touched him once. This is what makes the soul core special. Aside from being an ancient weapon in the form of a half-body, which has a synchronized reaction when fatally attacked, they are practically immortal. Unless they encounter a divine-level sealing technique, they are immune to all physical and magical attacks in the world. They won't even be harmed in the center of a nuclear explosion, just like being protected in an isolated ideal homeland. On the other hand, they cannot interfere much in this world. The most they can do is blow a cold wind or create a ghostly reflection in a mirror. Yunxi used the power of the faceless god to tear apart the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast and seal the Black Iron Giant, but he couldn't truly harm Past Princess and War Dancer. They became his spoils because he had control over their half-bodies. Past Princess's Black Iron Giant can quickly revive in place as long as it escapes from the high tower and touches the real ground. The Emerald Sea Dragon Beast looks quite miserable now, with its head severed and its body dragging along like a broken snake. But it wasn't alive to begin with. The severed head is just a result of significant internal system damage. If it can be taken back to the underground cemetery for repairs by the King of Undead, it can still be fixed. The Past Princess and War Dancer are basically the core parts of ancient weapons. If their shells are damaged, as long as they are still there, the weapons can be repaired and used again. The Past Princess is not afraid of Yunxi at all, because she cannot be harmed. As long as she doesn't want to, even a nuclear explosion cannot destroy her. The soul core is such a mysterious existence. However, there is one exception. That is when the soul core voluntarily reveals its secrets and lets down its guard. At this time, the soul core can be rewritten or even destroyed. It's like innocent fairies opening the gates to their isolated ideal homeland. Once the door to the outside world is opened, the fairies' ideal homeland is no longer invincible. This is an event that must be avoided at all costs. At this moment, War Dancer is acting foolishly in the eyes of the Past Princess, almost like committing suicide. No. Don't. If you let him in, the War Dancer will be in trouble. This shameless silver dragon can absolutely not be trusted. Past Princess desperately held War Dancer's hand. As fellow war weapons and soul cores, she cherished her companions more than anyone else. Especially the War Dancer, she was Past Princess's relative, a cousin, and even a sister-like presence. I want to do something. War Dancer looked at Yunxi with a brave gaze. This is a gamble, to willingly open her soul core to this silver dragon. It is a challenge, but also a sign of confidence. She firmly believes that her will cannot be changed. She even wants to change the other side in return. Unlike the naive princess who died from an illness, her death was extremely tragic, which gave her an even stronger belief than when she was alive. She craves power and wants to change this world. The king gave her a power that allowed her to possess the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, which had the power to change the battlefield. However, now the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast has been defeated and she has lost her power. For someone who desires power, this is an unbearable situation. Luckily, she still has one last move. The development of the soul core has its advantages and disadvantages. For her, it means removing her last defense and allowing the opponent to directly access her true nature. Likewise, it also allows her to access the opponent's true nature. She wants a stronger power, just like the power of the silver giant before her eyes. Everything is for the great king. No, I have a very bad feeling, we can't do this. Looking at the soul radiance spreading from Yunxi's fingertips and gradually covering his whole body, Princess Past showed an expression of immense panic. Something is wrong, definitely wrong, with this silver dragon. This is not the normal scenery after the development of the soul core. It's something she and War Dancer have never encountered before. Why is it like this? War Dancer also realized this. It was an incredibly unbelievable fact. As the ruler of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, she had gathered countless netherworld auras and was born from the battlefield of the divine era. Compared to the quantity of her soul, the silver dragon in front of her was insignificant. The radiance on his fingertips was even hotter and more dazzling than hers, like countless shining stars in the sky. Quickly, get away from this silver dragon. Danger, Dancer. Past Princess, who noticed something was wrong, clenched her teeth and opened her own soul core, trying to rescue her from the silver dragon's clutches. Unfortunately, everything was already too late, or rather, she walked right into it herself. Like small asteroids attracted by the sun, the two soul cores could no longer escape the grasp of this scorching star once caught by its gravitational pull. As for Yunxi, he had no idea what was happening. He just watched as War Dancer and Past Princess connected one after another in his mind, completing the mental link in an instant. Now apart from Pafu, two more small connections appeared in Yunxi's head. No, what is going on? Where am I, and what happened to me? Past Princess's voice shouted loudly in Yunxi's head, giving him a terrible headache. On the other hand, War Dancer, who had also completed the connection, fell silent and seemed to be carefully observing this unfamiliar world he had never been to before. Helpless, Yunxi looked at the two soul cores floating beside him, both of them now unconscious. They lay in the palm of the faceless god, gazing up at the endless starry sky. His consciousness began immersing itself into the small world they were in. This place is an altar located in the starry sky. It is where Yunxi accepts the trial of the stars and is also a reflection of his inner world and the place where he first met Meyer. Right now, on this previously empty altar, there were 3 newcomers, 2 adults and a child. Pafu. 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 Pafu, who was as green as fresh leaves, hopped around in the center of the altar, teasing the newcomer who was still getting used to this world. No, what is this thing? Don't come in, that place is not allowed. Princess Past sobbed, sounding so pitiful, but Pafu had no idea what it meant to pity someone. After bullying Princess Past for a while, Pafu found a familiar and warm spot and started enjoying the comfort of a long-lost chest area. Yunxi looked silently at Princess Past, who was running around due to Pafu's bullying, and at War Dancer, who was being used as an enormous pillow by Pafu. Having the ability to have clones is really powerful, the slime's talent is certainly cheating. However, Yunxi's biggest question was, how did you all end up here? It's not strange that Pafu can come in. Pafu is Yunxi's pet, a magical creature that Meyer helped sign a contract with. Pafu and Yunxi are perfectly synchronized, to a certain extent, they can be considered as Yunxi's shadow. The problem is that Past Princess and War Dancer are not supposed to be here. This is a projection of Yunxi's inner world, the imprint of Starchild, in a way it is his biggest secret. Apart from Meyer and Pafu, no one else has ever appeared in this altar. Speaking of which, when choosing the 3 initial fairies, I did see the figures of different fairies on 2 other paths of destiny. However, Past Princess and War Dancer are unrelated to oneself, why would they appear here? Moreover, they seem to have real bodies now. This is real breathing. Different from Past Princess, who is crying and completely unaware of the situation due to being bullied by Pafu, War Dancer is looking at her own fluctuating chest with an incredible gaze. Even though her chest has been invaded by Pafu, she doesn't mind at all, and is completely immersed in the simplest breathing process. Yes, just the simple action of breathing is so familiar and yet so unfamiliar to War Dancer. She existed in a soul-like way and didn't know how long she had forgotten this feeling. It's not just breathing, but also the sound of heartbeat, the flowing of blood, and the temperature of the skin. This is the feeling of being alive, a real and tangible feeling that only living beings have the privilege of experiencing. For War Dancer, it was like dreaming. Welcome to my world, Yunxi felt a connection that was somewhat unfamiliar compared to Pafu, and had a mixed feeling of laughing and crying. It seemed that they had committed some inexplicable mistake and became connected to his soul. As beings existing as soul cores, in theory, they couldn't be harmed as long as they didn't open their souls. However, they made such a simple mistake, one that not even a 3-year-old child would make, and opened their soul cores to Yunxi. Compared to their souls, the nature of Yunxi's soul was unbelievably high. This is the soul of Starchild, who has had 4 previous girlfriends from the creation level. It is a soul that cannot be corrupted by the polluted golden sea of chaos at the bottom of the abyss. Even the supreme heavenly demon would be attracted to it. Therefore, once the soul core is opened, even if their combined soul core is considered, it is still weaker compared to the quality of Starchild's soul. It is easily captured in an instant. This phenomenon is like a weaker meteor passing through a massive star's range, instantly becoming a member of the asteroid belt. The difference in size between the two sides is too great. Yunshi doesn't need to do anything. The mere presence of his own soul pulls these 2 small soul cores over. If it wasn't for Yunshi's subconscious lack of malice towards them, they would have likely become nothingness the moment they entered here. All curses related to the soul don't exist for Starchild. It is better to say that Starchild itself carries the greatest curse, the result of the collaboration of his 4 creator-level ex-girlfriends. Being able to withstand the curses of all 4 creator-level ex-girlfriends, and even using one to suppress the other 3, this ability of treading multiple boats is unique in the entire Endless Gods domain. Compared to the curses of his ex-girlfriends, these 2 small soul cores don't even amount to a drizzle. Is this your world, your soul? War Dancer widened her eyes, looking at the countless stars in the sky above the altar, and the ancient and mysterious ground beneath her feet. How much soul does it take to build a galaxy, with countless stars, in one's own soul? For the first time, War Dancer felt that maybe this person was even stronger than the King of Undead, otherwise how could they create such a starry world? She had once entered the King's world, and saw that desolate land, a death world made up of countless skeletons. The power of that world was enough to destroy the entire Sia's world. It was the most terrifying field she had ever seen. Compared to the endless starry sky in front of her, the King of Undead's sad and lonely world suddenly seemed so insignificant. What kind of soul can carry this starry sky? What kind of fate can project such a huge world landscape? The person who owns this starry sky wouldn't really care about a mere continental crown. She knew, the King of Undead didn't even care about the continental crown he possessed. In the eyes of the great king, there is a bridge to the sky. The entire underground cemetery is a base prepared to build a bridge to the stars. It is the weapon that breaks the confinement of this world. And now, War Dancer sees a more vast world, even more boundless and radiant than what can be seen on the ground, with a dazzling array of stars. This is not a projection, she can feel that each and every star here exists, even that stars are constantly being destroyed and born again. The ancient altar contains knowledge and wisdom that humans in Sia's world cannot imagine. How great it is! How mysterious it is! Yes, it's a very beautiful scenery, isn't it? Yunshi himself cannot understand the impact this starry sky has on outsiders. The memories of Starchild, it holds the records of countless stars being born, growing, and being destroyed. It is the color of the stars that even the gods of creation would be immersed in. Long, long ago, this place used to welcome different guests, who made a promise with Starchild under this starry sky, a woman. The ruler of the Starry Dragon clan, the leader of Dragon God's domain. A dragon of order, the mother of time and space, the creator, symbolizing birth, life, and eternal representation of death, Dragon God Asha. The owner of the haunted ghost city, connecting multiple dimensions, the master of the god's domain of darkness abyss, the ancient source of pain, the god of the impossible, nameless lady. The horrifying entity beyond description, the embodiment of chaos and confusion, one of the incarnations of the abyss will, Naya. The supreme among gods, the ruler of the colorful realms, the summoner of the divine market, the master of the pantheon, Ionia. I will build a bridge to the stars for you, so we can be together often. At that time, Starchild made such a promise to them, holding hands and making an agreement. In the name of the great stars, I and Asha. Ionia. Unnamed. Nea. Chapter 1158. This altar is something that has never existed in Sia's world before. This completely unobstructed starry sky, which seems within reach, is a temptation that the intelligent beings of Sia's world, imprisoned on the remains of Leviathan, cannot resist. War Dancer has fallen. It should be said that any intelligent being of Sia's world has no immunity to this dazzling starry sky. Throughout many centuries, from the divine era to modern times, from mages to scholars, all people have been seeking the path to the stars. No matter what price has to be paid, no matter how many setbacks are encountered, this perseverance has never changed. Imprisoned on the earth like worms, humans longed more than any other race to reach the stars above. You possess the most beautiful treasure in this world. War Dancer, pulled into this starry altar by the gravity of the soul, slightly lowered their head. Escape was inevitable from the moment the soul core was developed, their bondage had already been sealed. It couldn't be changed by her will, much like how planets inevitably orbit around stars. The gap between their souls was so immense that freeing oneself from this attraction became an impossible task. Like a meteor captured by the gravity of a star, neither she nor the past princess could escape this person. Whoa, I don't want this, I want to leave here. Because she was too young, the past princess cried and tried to maintain her princess dignity under Pafu's harassment, still unaware of the allure of the starry sky. Pafu. The green jelly continued to bully the rebellious princess, declaring its privilege as Yunshi's pet. During Meyer's slumber, this altar was its domain, a place to do as it pleased. Can you be gentle with this child, if possible? War Dancer couldn't bear to watch any longer, whether it was past princess or herself, neither of them stood a chance against Pafu in this altar. The body formed by the condensed core of the soul has breath and heartbeat inside this altar, just like when alive. The problem is, whether it's her, past princess, or the songstress, they were all ordinary humans in their past lives, without any extraordinary powers. In contrast, Pafu is truly the great demon king in this altar, being spoiled by Yunshi. It can do whatever it wants. Recently, it even upgraded and obtained the dragon aura of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel. Past princess, the powerless little princess, can't do anything against Pafu, who can take on hundreds of opponents. Even with War Dancer, it's useless. In this starry shrine, Pafu is invincible. Pafu, let go of that girl. Yunshi looked at Pafu rolling around on past princess, seeming to be having a great time, speechless. Pafu. Popping out of past princess dress, Pafu happily hopped to Yunshi with something in its mouth, then jumped into his palm. What is this? Yunshi looked at the white cloth in his palm, still emitting some warmth, puzzled for a moment, not understanding what it was. It looks like it's made of real silk, with cute bows and ribbons on it. Is it a handkerchief? Wah, I won't get married. You must have ordered them, you shameless silver dragon with bad intentions. Princess Past tightly held her dress, tearfully looking at Yunshi, who pretended he didn't know anything. What is that small piece of fabric? Don't you have any idea about it? Give it back. Mine. The princess's face turned as red as a ripe apple. Her adorable appearance, desperately holding onto her dress, made Yunshi's heart beat a little faster. Give it back, is it this? Yunshi looked at Pafu, who had jumped onto his head while biting the handkerchief. The tip of his nose seemed to smell a pleasant scent, mixed with a hint of sweat. Wah! Silver Dragon, we are enemies for life. Even Dad has never touched mine. Princess Past gritted her teeth as she stared at Pafu. If the black iron giant was still here, she would definitely flatten the silver dragon in front of her into a pancake. Pafu, on top of Yunshi's head, Pafu continued to hop around. The white fabric it was biting gently slipped off and landed on Yunshi's cheek. Ah! Princess Past screamed and sprinted towards Yunxi at the fastest speed she had ever run in her life. She kicked him directly in the leg. Yunxi, whose vision suddenly went black, instinctively reached out his hand and caught the smooth little foot. Then, he pulled, tugged, and pressed using the techniques of his soft body to restrain Princess Past beneath him. Engaging in close combat with Yunxi and his soft body was totally a suicidal move. Whoa! You villain! I curse you, you will never have a girlfriend in your whole life. No matter how much I fight or grab, for the first time I realize that fate is so unreasonable. Past Princess cries with pearl-shaped teardrops, fiercely cursing this shameless silver dragon. Okay, I'll give it back to you. Pafu, don't bully people too much. Yunxi is also very curious. Why did Pafu specifically pick on this little princess and intentionally split into two halves to do this? Even though Pafu, who is over by War Dancer's side, loves peace so much, he is completely unable to get up when he falls into her chest. However, Pafu on Past Princess's side is full of energy and enjoys playing. She will get used to it. Actually, she is a child who is very scared of being lonely. War Dancer smiles and walks to Yunxi's side, pulling the expressionless Past Princess out from under Yunxi. Probably because of the rebellious period, the first time Past Princess is tossed around like this, her glare towards Yunxi becomes especially fierce. That is something I will never forget in my whole life. Her gaze was as if she wanted to devour Yunxi. Unfortunately, this revenge is destined to be impossible to accomplish. Did you notice? We are alive here, War Dancer whispered to Yunxi while helping his little princess put on a small piece of fabric. Oh, it's true. Past Princess, who had been bullied enough by Pafu, just realized that she was not in a ghost state. Breath. Heartbeat. The warmth of the skin. Even the absence of little underwear felt so real and tangible. Why is this place so strange? Feeling the familiar yet unfamiliar warmth, tears uncontrollably rolled down Past Princess' cheeks. What seems so natural for living humans is an everlasting dream for their soul cores. Because they have already died. Chapter 1159, Ahahaha, I can breathe again. Children are like this, simple in their likes and simple in their happiness. Not to mention, this is the happiness of being able to breathe, have a heartbeat, and move freely again, like being reborn. Well, of course, hating a shameless and lecherous silver dragon is an unchanging fact for 10,000 years. The not-so-big starry altar quickly became Past Princess's playground, and every corner of the altar was filled with her footprints, even though it was only tens of meters in size. With her excitement, she even fearlessly stepped out of the altar and swayed up into the sky. Aha! Stars, oh stars! Like a clumsy child learning to walk, Past Princess curiously moved through the starry sky, leaving transparent ripples with each step. Yes, the starry sky here is not far away. The starry sky that exists around the Starchild altar doesn't reject Past Princess. They gently accepted this child and granted her the power to enter the starry sky. There were even pieces of stardust surrounding her, emitting a faint glow. You can go too. Yunxi held the restless Pafu in his arms and looked at War Dancer with longing eyes. Really, can I? The dancer had never dreamed that she would one day stroll in a world of stars. For the girls in Sia's world, this is the ultimate romantic fantasy. Consider it a gift from me. I'm sorry, it's very barren here, there's nothing. Yunxi looked at the dancer with some embarrassment. As it is a soul altar, there is no bread or wine here. Apart from the ability to materialize Past Princess and War Dancer, there doesn't seem to be any other special abilities. No. Here has everything I want. Thank you. This time, War Dancer expressed sincere gratitude. For the soul core that had long been dead, having a world with breathing and heartbeat again was so wonderful. Not to mention, there was a dreamlike starry sky here. Even past Princess, who held deep grudges against Yunxi, was immersed in the colors of the starry sky. She had always longed for the stars and couldn't resist the sparkling stars. Even for a moment, she felt that being captured as a prize might not be such a bad thing. Even the great king couldn't do what Yunxi did at this moment. This was a true miracle, a scenery as if dreams come true. Learning from past Princess, War Dancer gently took off her shoes and stepped with her foot adorned with an anklet on the edge of the starry sky outside the altar. A faint ripple of stardust spread from the snow-white feet of the dancer, who looked at the starry sky that accepted her with devout eyes, shimmering with tears. Dream, even if they know it's a dream, cannot imagine the sea of people, who are bound to the earth, really stepping foot in the stars one day. The great king of undead, the king who looks down upon Sia's world continental crown, dreams of breaking out of Sia's world and going to the stars in the sky. All the guardians of the underground cemetery know this wish and are willing to do whatever it takes to help the great king of undead fulfill this wish. Now, the wish has been granted ahead of time, in such an incredible way. Thank you, Destiny. War Dancer steps into the starry sky, one step at a time. At first, she is a bit hesitant, but is quickly infected by the joyful smile of past Princess and starts opening up herself. How long has it been since she walked on the stage with bare feet like this? And this is what she has always dreamt of, the stage that all the Sia people admire. War Dancer can't help but lift her slender and beautiful leg and start dancing. That is a dance that praises beautiful love and brings a feeling of happiness. It is a dance by past Princess that you can never get tired of, and it is War Dancer's most skillful dance. As past Princess watched War Dancer dance again, she couldn't help but sing lyrics that responded to this dance. It was a song from the third-level guardian choir of the underground cemetery called Field. The princess's posture is beautiful. The princess's hair is light and soft. The sound of the princess's footsteps is endearing. The princess's eyes are beautiful gemstones. The princess is surrounded by a dizzying sweet fragrance, it is the fruit of love. Even if we are clumsy, we will tirelessly work hard. We will protect your dreams. You are the sun, you are a flower, you are the most beautiful princess in the world. We applaud for you, wishing you eternal happiness and beauty. You are our faith, our light. Princess, princess, I protect your past, I protect your present, I protect your future. May this love last forever and never fade. It was a poem written by a poet for the princess he secretly loved, filled with love and blessings for the princess. Even though he knew he could never get close to the princess, just seeing her from afar made him happy. Catching a glimpse of her every now and then brought joy to the poet. To the poet, the princess represented all the beauty in the world, like a dream, like a fairy tale. Even though the poet had passed away and the princess had long vanished in the river of time, this poem that witnessed their love remained forever and became a truly eternal legend. In the song, Princess no longer represents a specific person, but becomes an idealized fantasy of happiness and beauty in love. War Dancer danced steps he had long forgotten, and tears filled his eyes without him noticing when. Truly, I wish the songstress could come to this world once again, to listen to her clear voice and enchanting melodies. Once again, with the ability to breathe and a beating heart, she had a body that could dance, everything felt like a magical dream. Even the stars around her seemed to shine in honor of her dance. It was not an illusion of War Dancer, because Yunxi, who watched the graceful dance of the ballerina on the altar, was gently applauding. Some art goes beyond race, nationality, and even the domain of God. War Dancer's passionate and expressive dance, which completely conveyed her emotions, was the most beautiful and touching dance Yunxi had ever seen. Such a dance deserved recognition from the stars, and those scattered starlights were Yunxi's applause for War Dancer. One after another, the starlights intertwined on the dancer's body, leaving specks of stardust with every gesture she made. It was truly breathtaking. At this moment, War Dancer stepped onto the grand stage called Starry Sky. The stars would remember her figure and become eternal memories passed down through the stars. For the dancer, this is a moment worth remembering for a lifetime. Chapter 11. 61 days later, carrying their spoils of war, the head and body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, the faceless god returned to the Tower of the Gods in the city of Sia, with each step causing the earth to tremble. The sunlight shone on the faceless god's silver-white body, naturally emanating a divine and inviolable aura, causing many of the Sia Kingdom's citizens gathered on the city walls and along the roads to kneel down involuntarily. That's our giant. Our ancient weapon. Look, that monster was defeated by the giant. The faceless god's victory was marked by the over 100 meters long streamlined body of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast, as well as the defeats suffered by the entire Leviathan Empire. After 7 days and nights of battling the Leviathan, 3 titled machines were disqualified, and the release of the Sea Serpent Legion led to the complete defeat of the Leviathan's knights. This is a weapon from ancient times that even Leviathan's scientific technology cannot defeat. However, the Sia Kingdom has giants, the most powerful ancient weapons owned by Nuclear Explosion Queen 9, which are invincible in battle and can conquer any enemy. The process of the faceless god dragging the remains of the Emerald Sea Dragon Beast into Sia Royal City is a carnival for the entire city. Once again, they firmly believe that there is no problem in the world that their own Nuclear Explosion Queen cannot solve. She is a destined ruler who is powerful enough to rival the King of Undead, the owner of the underground cemetery, and the future ruler of this continent. The Leviathan Empire is a thing of the past. The future of the continent belongs to Sia's Nuclear Explosion Queen. She has noble lineage, perfect appearance, and ancient weapons like the ultimate forbidden spell of nuclear explosion and the Silver Giant. In terms of lineage, she inherits the throne of the main kingdom of Sia Kingdom, and it is only natural for her to rule the continent once again. Not to mention, she has now established the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, a mixed-race knight order that didn't even exist in mythological times. During the days when the Faceless God and the Underground Cemetery ancient weapons battled, several of the strongest squad leaders in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order made breakthroughs in the Divine Era Tower. Saramanda, the young leader of the Troll clan, was the first to take the plunge, and the other young leaders of different races no longer hesitated in choosing their own paths. On the 3rd day of the Underground Cemetery's appearance in the mortal world, Miraz, the Lamia clan's priestess, made a breakthrough and became a snake-eyed priestess of hero rank. On the 5th day of the Underground Cemetery's appearance in the mortal world, Heidi, the princess of the Mermaid clan, made a breakthrough and became a hero-ranked mermaid songstress. On the 7th day of the Underground Cemetery's appearance in the mortal world, Princess Roland of the Imperial Princess Knight Order, once known as the Twin Stars alongside Ein, made a breakthrough and became a hero-ranked knight. The consecutive breakthroughs of hero-ranked individuals shocked the upper echelons of the entire continent. While the exceptional talents of these young women played a part, it was impossible for such simultaneous breakthroughs to occur in this period of magic tide decline. Everything pointed to the holy artifact of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, the miracle uncovered by Queen Ein in the Divine Era Tower. Now, everyone believes that the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order will truly become a Divine Era Knight Order and revive the glory of the Divine Era. For a time, the letters applying to join the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order poured in like mushrooms after rain, many of which were from renowned experts. Unfortunately, the joining standards for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order have remained unchanged in the past, present, and will not change in the future. Below 18 years old. Pure and beautiful young girl. Above 18 years old, strictly forbidden. Those who fail the ritual review, also strictly forbidden. Yet, even so, within a short week, the Divine Era Tower saw an increase of triple-digit second-year members. After completing the affinity ritual with the dragon egg, these newly joined underage girls quickly adapted to the unique rules of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. They became accustomed to daily close contact with the dragon egg, to be in different teams and soak in the supersized bathing pool in the underground palace, communicating in the most natural way. On the 9th day of the underground cemetery, Ein, the queen of the Sia kingdom and of Divine Era Virgin Palace warlock lineage, finally achieved her breakthrough at the top of the tower. In fact, on the day she received the news of her parents' death in battle, she already met the criteria to advance to hero rank status. However, just like how Yunshi continuously suppressed his own racial value to a level that humans could not reach in the field, Ein also chose to suppress the urge to break through herself. This is an intuition from deep within. She feels that she has not yet reached her full potential, and there is room for improvement in her ancient bloodline. This became even stronger when she encountered Yunshi, who fell from the starry sky in the form of a silver dragon. Instead of advancing to become a Divine Era high tower master like the generations before her, she can enter a higher and more mysterious realm called the Field. Spending time with Yunshi, observing his existence and sensing his unique aura, Ein has new discoveries and insights every day. That is a radiance that only life from the stars can possess, a power that doesn't belong to this world system. Even though Yunshi constantly suppresses the power of his star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, Ein still detects the unfathomable power hidden beneath his perfect appearance. Any power possessed by a hero-ranked entity that Ein knows of pales in comparison to Yunshi's. It belongs to a higher level of life, a power she can't even imagine. The reason why Saramanda, Maras, Heidi, and Roland could easily achieve hero-ranked advancement is because they were infused with the blood and essence of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, resulting in a natural phenomenon brought forth by the dragon's spiritual energy. Their breakthroughs were natural and effortless, whether they were Leviathan's descendants or Sia's people, guided by the dragon's spiritual energy that transcends their own life levels. They all followed the same path. Ein, just like everyone else in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, received a lot of spiritual energy from dragons, especially since she was second only to her own sister. This energy pushed her beyond the limits of her own magical abilities, and opened up a whole new world for her. On the second night of Yunshi and the Faceless God's expedition to the Leviathan Empire, they stood at the top of the Divine Era Tower. Countless stars fell, shining upon Ein, bestowing upon the Queen blessings from the starry skies. A brand new profession, never seen before in Sia's world, was born. Silver Star Warlock. Only a girl who deeply felt the presence of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel and was touched by the power of the stars could advance to this level. Chapter 1161, Sister. It's amazing. Adley is captivated by the fragrance emanating from her sister. This scent is somewhat similar to that of her older brother. Adley also has this scent, which proves that they are all part of the same family. If it's you, you should be able to see the stars in the sky even further. In that moment of advancement, Ein saw beyond the limitations of Sia's world for the first time and observed the entire view from a higher field. It turns out that the entire Sia's world is not shaped like a regular sphere, but more like an elongated ellipsoid with a pointed top. It's different from the shape measured by the mages of the Divine Era on the ground. Moreover, in this starry sky, Sia's world is not alone. Beyond the range observed by the mages of the Divine Era, various dangerous creatures inhabit the void, including the dimensional spiders that Yunshi encountered before. The reason why the mages of the Divine Era cannot observe their existence is because their observation methods are too outdated. These creatures that reside in the vacuum all possess the ability to hide themselves. On the planets closest to Sia's world, there are even enormous primitive creatures living underground. All these things made Ein discover that the idea of Sia's world being the center of the world, and that Sia's wizards were the most intelligent beings, was obviously not true. Sia has never been the center of the world, nor the only place where intelligent beings live. Through the movement of the stars, Ein sensed the edge of the known universe and discovered an ancient relic. It was clear that it didn't belong to the civilization of Sia's world, but rather, it was a trace left by another unknown intelligent civilization. Many golden discs stood on this relic, engraved with a system of writing that Ein had never seen before. It's unknown how many centuries these golden discs had been standing there, but they naturally exuded an ancient atmosphere that spoke of the ever-changing passage of time. Ah, this is the real world, endlessly vast and filled with stars. After completing his first observation as a Silver Star Warlock, Ein returned to the tower in Sia's world with a sense of satisfaction. The power of stargazing is the innate talent that every Silver Star Warlock will awaken. This also means that the Silver Star Warlock is not limited by the earth beneath their feet. While mortals can only see the stars above their heads, the eyes of a Silver Star Warlock can surpass the limitations of the world and observe and record the stars beyond light years. In fact, if certain conditions are met, a Silver Star Warlock can even transform into a giant dragon that travels between worlds, freely roaming the starry seas. Of course, that kind of thing is still far away for the advancing Ein profession, but she really feels that future from her own dragon veins. It's true and not imaginary. She believed more than anyone else that this was the great blessing Lord Silver Dragon gave her, a profession that has never appeared in the history of Sia's world, a hope that can change the whole world. And she is not the strongest Silver Star Warlock in this world. Her sister Adley will be the most legendary Silver Star Warlock born in this world. The love she received from Lord Silver Dragon is many times more than her. In the whole Sia's world, there are only 2 Dragon Vein Warlocks who can advance, possibly the most powerful profession in the history of Sia's world. The era is changing. Holding her sister's hand, the feeling of witnessing the glory of history while observing the Ein of the stars together. Lord Silver Dragon, you really came to change this world. On the 10th day of the present underground cemetery, Yunshi returned to the Divine Era Tower with his spoils, immediately feeling a closer connection with Ein. Even though he didn't activate the star seed system and plant his own life seed in her, whether it's Adley or any other girl from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, they all have his presence. Mixed with the scent of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel and his own scent, each girl had a radiant expression and a confident smile. Even the timid dwarf girls became enchanting and looked at him with an incredibly passionate gaze. What has happened these past few days? Yunshi looked at the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, whose affection for him kept increasing, in confusion. He hadn't done anything. Welcome back, Ash. Brother, you are the best. With Ein on one side and Adley on the other, they both kissed Yunshi's cheeks, welcoming the triumphant return of the prince. While many believe that the Faceless God was an ancient weapon controlled by the nuclear explosion Queen Ein, several members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order discovered that the true owner of the Faceless God was the prince called Ash. He was the only male in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, yet the girls didn't show much exclusion towards him. In fact, when Yunshi took walks in the underground palace, he would often receive numerous gifts and love letters. One could only say that the pure and enchanting divine Warlock bloodline, even though it wasn't actually true, had a great allure in the eyes of young girls who were just starting to understand their feelings. As the number of mysterious rituals performed by the girls increased, this situation became more and more intense. Now, it was no longer just a crush. With Yunshi's growing reputation as a skilled warrior of the Faceless God, the girls from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order started looking at him with more initiative and enthusiasm. There was no doubt that they were fascinated by Yunshi, just like the Starwings Knights who were captivated by the Tmei. The recently established Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order began to deviate from its original path as a group. Many people's level of fondness, especially the foreign girls from Leviathan's dependents, had reached a level of seriousness that couldn't be surpassed. This time, Yunshi didn't appear as a maid of Tmei. Even though he looked genderless and had flawless skin that surpassed the entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, his character was indeed set as a male and he possessed a rare and pure bloodline of the Divine Era Warlock. Of course, a few leaders from the Leviathan faction knew a certain truth very well. However, it was precisely because of this that their fondness for Yunshi had reached a level where they could confess their feelings in the blink of an eye. Recently, gifts have been sent to Yunshi's address, and their value keeps increasing. From the initial flowers and snacks, to priceless pearls and rare Divine Era weapons, it's like starting to receive a dowry. Moreover, this trend is supported by the race and power behind them. For Prince Ash, who inherits the traditions of the Sia Kingdom and will obviously marry his own sisters due to the generational inheritance, various forces have high hopes for him. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.